Key & Grip presents The Blackout Show. The Blackout Show is going to be co-hosted by myself and my friend Justin from Bad Guy Radio and Chris Gonzalez. A show about Chicago White Sox, the good, the bad, the ugly. I will be keeping these two guys truthful, debating on their acumen of baseball, and calling out what's working and what's not. I think it's time, and there's a place for this Blackout Show where we can talk about old school, new school, and have some perspective.
Hit it. Hit us with it. Hit us with it.
Come on.
Let's go. Get it over
Throw
with.
that poll up there.
Oh, my
Come on.
God.
What is it?
What is it? What's this nonsense?
There we
my
go.
God. Gonzo,
Yep.
what have you started?
Yep, everyone, I'm the man. I'm the man out here that believes Andrew Vaughn was drafted as our first baseman for a damn reason. Should have been there from the start, but too bad. Abreu was hot in his prime. But yes, Andrew Vaughn will be geared up for nearly 30 home runs this year. And I believe that wholeheartedly.
What the fuck?
That he
Okay, but
will,
why?
as a full season as a first baseman, he will have his legs under him throughout the whole duration of the season. Because we all saw how sore his hamstrings were playing in the outfield for 2 straight years, and you can see it that the power wasn't there near the end of the year. But that all changes this year, where his body was naturally made for it as a first baseman. And I believe it not only with his lower half with his power, but with his hands. We all know how fast his hands are in the box. This is a man as a rookie took a Aroldis Chapman opposite field at Yankee Stadium on his
Come on,
powered
dog.
fastball.
Oh,
Man,
here we go.
let's go. Let's go. I'm ready.
Okay,
but
but
wait,
why
it's
more
like-
homers than Abreu?
Yeah.
Because he
Like,
did it
what
last
gives
year.
you the okay?
He did it last year. And 50 less at-bats. Go look
You
it up.
realize, all right. So
Go
I
look it up.
tweeted the spray chart, right? From Jose Abreu's 2022 season. 15 recorded outs would have been home runs if he was playing in Minute Maid Park. That also means with the protection he's going to have in that lineup, I have no doubt like 25 homers for Abreu. I love Andrew Vaughn, but like I feel like we need to pump the brakes. We're hyping this kid up so much. Like, let's pump the brakes. Andrew Vaughn's going to be great. But Jose Abreu did a lot of really good stuff for a really long time on the South Side. And it's like everyone's just forgetting.
30
how good
and
he was.
100, Gonzo. 30 and 100.
But he
Those
hasn't been
numbers
that
don't
guy in
count.
a while. Yeah, he hasn't been that guy in a while.
Even without him being a guy in a while, I'm going to be honest with you. Every time anybody came to face the Chicago White Sox, they had one guy in mind to get out. That guy was Jose Abreu. They didn't even know who Andrew Vaughn was in the lineup. That means nice, easy fastballs down the middle. Guess what now? No more Abreu. And if Andrew Vaughn's going to be that guy, they will pitch him a little bit different. I like the point what Slop just said. I didn't even think about that. In that protection, they might not even notice him. You might just hit better because they got to pitch to somebody. I don't know. I think Abreu's power has gone away. I think that his job's going to be probably getting more on base and getting base hits. So Andrew might tip him. The White Sox fans would hope that he actually outbeats him in home runs, but I don't think he's anywhere near the 30 home runs that everybody says he's going to hit. Like people talk like he was like in a wheelchair because he was playing outfield. Like he's going to get up from the wheelchair. Like I don't think it's that big of a difference, in my opinion.
And
Well,
then
these guys-
Gonzo's talking about his legs is gonna be fresh because he wasn't running in the outfield. Come on, man, he's a fucking baseball player.
Hey,
But
can I
also,
say-
like, go ahead.
No, I'm going to say something. So do you guys realize how much movement there is in first base compared to every other position? You're in the play every single time. So it's not like he's playing third where he's not going to move. Like he still has to run from the dugout to first, which is normal. Again, it's not going to get a little go-kart to take him. But then he's in every play. So like he's not like DHing. It's not like he went from like outfield to full-time DH like Eloy, which Eloy, I believe he's going to have a lot more energy because he's just chilling on the bench. The Andrew Vaughn and the like thing, that theory is very scary. It is.
Oh,
The whole like thing.
everybody on the White Sox last year had a bum leg. Literally everyone
actually
had
true.
They
That
told
is
them
true.
don't run hard.
It is true. It is true.
All right, so real quick, let's do a vote. Gonzo, we know you got more homers for Vaughn than Abreu. Jay, who has more homers?
Abreu, I'm not dumb.
OJ?
More home runs than actually Abreu.
In 2023, Vaughn or Abreu, who has more homers?
I'm gonna go Andrew Vaughn's gonna have more home runs than Abreu.
Oh, he's just gonna call an audible in the middle of the show. I'm gonna go with Abreu. I think it'll be close.
No,
in that
it's
lineup,
not.
man.
I'm going the opposite. I'm saying that Andrew Vaughn was gonna have more, but not because he hit 30. It's just because Abreu. I think that he's just not gonna be a power guy anymore. He's gonna hit doubles.
You think Abreu's cooked?
No, I just think his hitting style is going to change. I think that he's going to go. I think Abreu is actually going to get better going to Houston. Like he is going now to working with analytics and hitting coaches, and he's going to have a whole staff around him, and he's going to have like support. It's just like scary. Like it's like he's been playing like in a big league team, but like support wise, I wouldn't compare that to Houston. He's going into like a machine. Yeah. He's going to be around other guys, and guys are going to be telling him, he's going to be a better player. I think that 100%.
Well, you got to
go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, just think at the ballpark he's playing, and he's playing in Texas, good hitting conditions, a nice indoor facility. Abreu hits a lot of line drives. So there's going to be a lot of line drives that's going to carry right over the fucking.
Well, Crawford boxes too are about as short as it gets in left field.
And he could go yard at every part of the park in Houston.
Gonzo, you get the last word. Gonzo gets the last word because this is his thing.
Yeah, no, I think Abreu is going to do just fine down there in Houston, especially where he struggled in the early part of the spring in Chicago in April, and basically April and May he was cold. Whereas playing in the dome, I don't think he's going to have that issue starting the season off cold. But at the same time, just at where he's at in his career, I just think Vaughn's going to have more home runs at that
opposite trajectories.
Point. Yeah. And I don't think he's reaching 30 this season. I think he will after, but this season I think he'll be about 25 to 30 range. Like 27 is my number that I'm aiming at for him.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
We can argue this for like 5 hours. So let's get into the Blackout Show, our debut episode. Thank you everybody for tuning in. This is the 4 that's going to carry you through this whole White Sox season and hopefully for many, many years to come. If our hearts allow us to physically watch this team further. On the show, Ozzie Guillen Jr., Justin Targaryen. Ozzie, what do you call him? What's his nickname? We'll save it for another episode.
I'll sue your ass.
And Gonzo, and I'm Slavko Bekovic. All right, our first episode, we got a special guest, and Ozzie, I'm going to let you introduce someone that you know very, very well.
I actually, my biggest accomplishment in life, other than my diplomas, was winning that race. The man, the myth, the genetics, the great abuelo, also a World Series winning manager in the last 100 years, Mr. Ozzie Guillen. What's up?
What's up, Papito?
What's up, guys? Very good surprise. Good entrance with a good argument between Bonnie and Mr. Jose Abreu. Wow. Playing first base is not easy, guys. You have to move everywhere. You play first base, you play shortstop, you catch the ball, you throw it to first. First baseman, he had to move every pitch, ground ball, fly ball, every pitch. That guy is moving all over the place. To get to conversation, I don't want people in Chicago because I love Bonnie. I think it's one of my favorite players last couple of years with the White Sox. I think the soon I hope coaches and front office people talk to him. I said, you're not going to fit Abreu's shoes. Just you have to be yourself. You're not going to be here to hit 40 because Abreu hit 40, 100 because Abreu hit. Just go out there and do what you think you can do, and we'll see that. Abreu did it for a long time. His powers went down. Well, people's power went down because there wasn't that many home runs this year. Maybe the balls, it was the right ball. I know, and I guarantee you that. But I like the Abreu. The biggest reason they don't sign Abreu back just because it's going to give Bonnie the opportunity to be what he's supposed to be. But in meanwhile, the only thing I will tell him, I said, listen, just you're Vaughn. You're not anybody else. You're not going to carry this ball club. You just be what you're supposed to be and to be on. Because this kid, every time come to a bat, Abreu was 4 for 4 this day. Abreu hit a home run with many people on base, and they had to be himself. And this kid, he put a pressure on himself to think he got to put Abreu's number from the first day. Then he think it the wrong way.
Gonzo, I think you're opening up the first part of this interview. What you got for the legend here?
What up, Ozzie?
What's up, bro?
Thank you for coming on our show, and more importantly, it's on your platform, on your family's network, and I'm so excited to have you on. And my first question for you is, how was winning a championship in the city of Chicago, how has it really impacted your legacy?
Well, to be honest with you, I think it was the best thing I ever did in my career, to be honest with you. But also the worst thing I did in my career, because when you win your championship your second year as a manager, then after that, is you're not winning, everything goes downhill. And then that's one thing I learned about it later on. Like, wow, it's nice to be a world champ. It's nice to be at the city. They don't have a championship, a long time in baseball, and you be part of that. I think it's even, people, so a lot of people forgot to play for the White Sox. It's like a kind of era thing. Like a lot of people, like whoever say, "Oh my God, you was a great shortstop," is in wheelchair.
Now you're just a great TV guy. You're not even a manager anymore.
And the guy say, "Wow, I love the way you mentioned the White Sox. You're in the middle of 40s, 50s, around there." But you say, "Wow, this is the guy work on TV." Now you talk about 15, 17, 20 years old. But it was a great man, especially in Chicago, especially for the White Sox. I grew up with this organization. This organization gave me the first opportunity to be who I am. And by the way, when I say, yeah, they give me opportunity, but everything I did it myself. And I think it's living in Chicago, enjoy the cities, have a lot of people have the respect for me and my family. And it's just something, you cannot really come up with some word to say how great that was for us, how great was for Chicago people, how great was for my family. But I think it's no doubt about it. You talk about best thing ever happened to me is have my 3 grandchilds, then the championship ring. But it's just something people not going to forget about it, and I love it. I really have a great time doing it. And I enjoy it. And by the way, I still make money out of that. How about that?
Yeah, money. Ozzie, I live in a neighborhood that's predominantly Hispanic, and we look at you as a fucking legend. East Side, we look at you as a fucking legend. You know what I'm saying? Like, before I could even speak, I knew who Ozzie Guillen was. So I want to ask you, what was the favorite part about your game? Was it the defense? Was it the speed? What did you like about you?
Power.
My fun.
Yeah.
I was fun, man. I think I was blessed by God coming where I come from. Some people, I wish some people can go out there and come and showing people in Chicago where the little town I come from. And they will say, wow, that's why this crazy side of our pitcher is the way he is. But I think I have more fun in baseball. I think the defense for me was number one. Now, if I play in this era, I might not make it to Double-A because everything is like about home runs and strikeouts, no speed. I was opposite players of that. But I don't think White Sox have better players than me. There's no doubt about it. Better hitters. I don't know about defense. I doubt it about defense.
I doubt it too.
More skills. But I think nobody wear that uniform. No one wear that uniform in the history of the White Sox have more fun than me. And enjoy the game with the fans, with the umpires, with every day I put the uniform. I just have fun and make sure I do what I have to do to win the game.
Yeah.
So you got another one? Go ahead.
No, go ahead, OJ.
No. I was just gonna ask him if you missed anything about managing. What it is that you miss?
Whew, wow. I don't know. You ask my wife; she might say the paycheck. I don't. You know what, Ozzie? Be honest with you, I wake up. Put it there. I wake up. Sometimes like right now, I wake up and say, "Wow, spring training. I don't listen to baseball. I don't watch baseball because it might hit me again. After I know I was in baseball for the first couple of years, I was out baseball. Every time around this time it's coming up, I don't know what to say, depressed. But I was like upset about it. I was mad at myself. I was mad at baseball. I was everything. I was in Venezuela. Thank God I have people at work. I don't work. I help them. Back in Mexico, I go there, spend the spring training with them for a little while. But I don't miss the game. No, I don't miss it. Is I want it. I like it. I love it. Yes. But to be honest with you, I think I'm not missing I'm missing the action. But I'm not missing the everyday, everyday stuff, especially when you're managing in spring training. It's the worst. Spring training, you have to worry about 70 people. You have to worry about the media. You have to worry about who got to send down. You're going to make a trade. The only good thing about spring training, everybody have a great team. Everybody. Oh my God, I love the team. I just talked to my friend Chuck Garfire a couple of years ago. I said, hey, how the team look? Oh, it's awesome. The thing is, it's very well. I said, well, Chuck, if you look in the spring training, everybody say the same stuff. Everything is great. Everything's good. I said, what I mean? I say, well, Lynn, he lost like 40 pounds, and Jolito is in shape, and Jimenez come out, he looks 35 pounds. I said, well, he looking like a beauty pageant. That's not going to mean Miss Universe or Miss USA, because everybody's in great shape. They have better looking body. But I think I don't miss that particular thing. I don't miss it that much, especially now. I have grandkids, and the job I have right now, don't make me miss baseball at all. Period. I get paid. I get along with the people I work with. I enjoyed my life. I think maybe it's the one thing I don't remember. I've been working for NBC for a little while. I don't remember one day I got to start my car and go, man, I got to go to work. Golly. Nope. When I was managing, yeah, that happened. When I was playing, that happened. When I was coaching, that happened. And so far, every time I go to work on TV, I don't have one regret in any minute. That's why I think my job and my family and my stinky golf game, I'm not that crazy about to go back and manage it.
I think good producers helps make you look better.
That's true.
There we go.
Hey, you know what? It's funny when the good producers help us. Yes, they helped me beginning my career in Chicago. That when when the producer want to make more money and leave, go to the big stands, and leave everybody behind. Like, okay,
who would do
guys,
that? What an asshole!
See you guys later. I'm going to be in better building, more people. All right, bye bye. I'm too good for you guys, man.
I got a question.
Yes.
I don't know if I've ever asked you this, Ozzie, straight up, and I've definitely never asked you with Junior here. As a player, you were a fan favorite. You become a manager. You win a World Series. Like, you are the most popular guy in Chicago. At the end of your tenure as a manager with the White Sox, maybe not as popular as you were. Then you come back, now you're doing TV, and it's like people forgot and everyone loves you again. What has that been like, the relationship with the fans over the years, up and down, and being from player, popularity, not so popular, being Mr. Popular again? How has that relationship with the fans impacted you and the family? And Junior, you can chime in too.
I don't have any problem with the fans. I think every problem was with the media. When we the stuff with it's been like 2-3 years very miserable. In my years with the White Sox as a manager, as a player. Well, first of all, people have to understand. They fired me. They released me because I can still play. I played 152 games last time I played with the White Sox. I have another year contract, and they signed some guys, Caruso. You know what I mean? Like, what? If you sign TA, yeah, like the Atlanta Braves did. They signed Furcal, Ozzie gone. I'm okay with them. But when you release me, having one more year contract, and all the song you signed some kid Caruso, he was the lead the league in doing this crazy stuff. I cannot say here because I respect the kid. But that pissed me off. That really pissed me off. And but also give me an opportunity to play for a winning team with Atlanta Braves. Same way with the manager. You know what I mean? I don't want to leave, but I think it was great for the White Sox players, not for the organization, players, I did what I did because I think it was little. God, I just call that. I wish I can have the right word for that. It wasn't healthy for the players. Kenny saying this, Ozzie saying this, Kenny saying this, Ozzie says he only saying this, and people forgot. All the media forgot I was the manager of the White Sox. People thought it was like El Gordo y la Flaca. Everything was talking, gossiping,
Soap
and
opera.
this. I never say I hate Kenny. I think about it. Yes, I did. And also he hate me the same way. But I don't have a problem with him in that particular time. But the Marlins, they want me, and I asked the White Sox, hey, I want to stay here. I did. I talked to Jerry about it. I went through it. Jerry come to literally this word. Well, you got a 1 year contract. Go there and say, well, how about is Kenny get mad at me or whatever reason is, and he fire me in spring training or during the season? What's the deal? This guy going to offer me a 5-year deal. We went through it for months with that. But it's a fan favorite now. Fans have been great with me, being awesome. Fans say what they hear. And the one thing about I had the fans on my favor because the only White Sox member, listen to me, no player, no coach, member ever told the fan the truth and was honest with the fan. And that's what my point. The longer I'm honest with the fans and the media, hey man, it's a fact, it's a truth. And I got a lot of problems with the front office when I was managing, just because even when I was a player, the White Sox fired me because I had too much power. I had too much power as a player, and I had too much power as a manager. Period. That's it. And the reason they don't sign me back and whatever they interviewed me a couple of days ago, or a couple of months ago, just because the same way. The same they hear me talk, they say, oh, yes, I do change. They know. But in the meanwhile, I know when you go to talk to me about baseball, you're going to hear the truth. And some people in life, not baseball, life, no one hear the truth. But to me, it'd be the same way. With the fans, with the organization, it's more down than up. Be honest with you. More disappointing, more upsetting. And now I'm talking with Jerry almost every day. Back to normal. With the White Sox, I always have good relation with Kenny. People believe it or not. But I mean, Kenny and Jerry, we have a good relation. I think I talk to Kenny more than I talk to Jerry. I talk to Jerry all the time. Last time I talked to him was a couple of days ago, asking about Tony La Russa health. And I asked him for some ticket for my friends that want to come to those games. They're going to come up here. But our relation has been great. I think that my relation has been great with the White Sox, like with the fans. They love me. Thank you. They do love me. You know why? Because I don't wear the uniform. I don't make the mistake. Take the wrong guy out. I don't say the wrong thing on TV. I don't say the wrong thing to the fans. Then that's why the relation with the fans always been great. With the White Sox, it was a lot of up and down. Thank God right now is in the level, at the green level. You can put it that way.
I'm going to chime in real quick. So that was my only concern with Ozzie getting the job. Was how would this end? And going into it,
which job?
If he had been selected as a manager, I'm going to go out and say here on the Blackout show that interviewing Ozzie Guillen is probably one of the dumbest things that they've ever done as a front office.
Yeah,
because I think that you gave false hope to the fans, and Ozzie's a person that has that much magnitude that there's a part of me that thinks that it's unfair to the incoming manager who has said all the right things, who knows baseball really well. And a lot of people are going to compare to him. And there's a lot of things that are being compared by. He's Hispanic, he's young. So there's a lot of extra added pressure that you get even on just becoming a regular manager. So I think if you don't include Ozzie, I don't think he comes in with that much pressure from that sense. So that was a big mistake, them interviewing, because of that love for the fans. There's fans out here that are obsessed with Ozzie. And when we feel that we live in Chicago for a reason, we love Chicago. We've always been there. And that was my concern, because when we left, when the family went to Florida because of money, because it was money. It was a situation. One team wanted him, the other team didn't. One team traded him to get something in return. The fans were so upset because they wanted to win again that we felt that, man, that connection is no longer there. And it takes a couple years to build it back. And, there was a plan. Ozzie was at ESPN, and we're like, we got to bring him we got to bring him home. Like when it opens up, like he needs to be ready to get that job, because he would just be awesome to be working for, in front of the fans. And that love happened within like the first 3 months. The fans and Ozzie are like engaged back again. And it's just amazing that I was scared that right now with anybody who's a manager, it could be the best manager in the world, the worst manager. Even if you win after 1 year, you need to win every single year. Your window is like 3 years and then you're done. So if Ozzie won, he would retire and it'd be amazing to go back to TV. But if he lost, do you go back to TV or do people hate you so much that you can't even make that jump? Because I saw it happen to Robin, who people, was a fan favorite. People don't even want to say his name here in town now. It's happened to, Tony. So I didn't want that to happen to Ozzie. So I was like, okay, if he gets the managing job, what's the exit plan? Like if it goes really bad, like, does he step down in the middle of a season so fans understand he loves them? So that was my only concern. And it was because of the fans, even though you guys know how I feel about them most of the time on social media. But I've always liked that connection between Ozzie and the fans because it's one that there's just so much love. God, I ate for free and drank for free for 10 years. Like, how can I not like the fans?
Well, besides that, I think. By the way, this is a fact, guys. I know Refor was a manager before they interviewed me. By the way, a good friend, mutual friend. I will say the name later on. He told me, "You interviewed the White Sox?" I said, "Yes, I did it yesterday." I said, "Well, Refor is a manager last week." They talked to him. They make sure make sure you don't say anything. Then they had me. They hit. I hope those, a few of them. I hope those guys are wrong. Because they did. I said, why are you wasting my time? You're wasting your time. The guy. I think Refor is going to be, what I hear, Refor is going to be a good manager. If they let them manage it the way they should be managing and dictate what they have to be doing in the field, this White Sox is going to have success. When people start putting their nose, try to help him, it ain't going to help him at all. Players are not stupid right now. Players know when you do stuff because the front office, players know how you are with the front office, how you are with the players. And I think right now what I know about him, and 1,000% behind him, 1,000% behind him. And I got a bad job because one thing about it is if I say anything, criticize him, not bad, criticize him during the season, there's few people out there going to say, oh, Ozzie just doing it just because he's not the manager. I guarantee you that. But I just being honest, when good thing happen, I will let it know. When bad thing happen, I will let it know. But I think in another hands, I think they hired a guy. Is great baseball man? Yes. You know about the game? Yes. The problem is, don't try to put together Z with the A before you go to the alphabetic. Because the White Sox front office don't going to help them much. They will help. They will contribute to try to have success. But when you say, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and you are the manager, it ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen because this guy, he know about baseball. He's been in the game, never been managing. I think he got a good team to managing. Yes. Off the field. Very hard team to managing off the field. Very hard. In the clubhouse, different places, because I know for a fact, I do know. If they stay healthy, I hear this guy say something very interesting this morning. Everybody in baseball has good players, good team, good talent. But no, I'm sorry, good talent. Every organization got good talent, but they don't have a good team. They got to start playing like a team. They got to start taking each other like a team. I'm tired to hear we're family. That's a bunch of shit. They ain't family. They ain't family. Moncada, you see, Moncada is Cuban, and you can spell his last name. It's not Z. And then they're not family. I want from the White Sox, when I'm on TV, say, we're a great team, and we're a great teammate. That bullshit, we're family, that's not working because a bunch of hypocrites, they don't like each other, and I don't care if they like each other or not. Make sure they go out there and play as a team and go there and worry about and take care of his teammates and be a great teammate. That's all he cares. That bunch of shit about family. I got family. I hate my own dad. I do. Every time my dad call me, I go like this. Oh, he need money. and I say, hey, we're a great teammate and we're going to play hard and we're going to take care of each other. I love if anybody come out and say that.
Now, Ozzie, just to back it up there, did you ultimately get an indication that Grifol was going to be selected during your interview? And were you surprised that Han was going to go that route with that coach of Grifol?
Well, I saw like 30,000 managers. You know what I mean? It's like so many people, the guy from Philadelphia, the guy from Tampa, the guy also I never thought before. Never that name never come up to my mind. Nobody's mind. I got people in ESPN, I got people around baseball, and they're like, what? They come up with the name. I said, well, good for him, but no. I got like maybe even Washington. They even interview Washington. But my problem was, I don't mind who they picked. They picked the right guy. Yes, they did. I think they did. He just made sure you support him, you're behind him, but stay away from what this guy going to bring to the table. But I was disappointed about it. Maybe for about an hour, play golf with my man. I play golf with Slack. I play golf with Ozzie. I was
don't leave out Pablo.
Yeah, we said we play golf with Pablo. It was, you heard me a little bit. I got blood in my system. I'm very proud guy, but that don't kill me. And like a day and a half, my wife was the happiest one. My wife said, "You're not the manager." Yes, thank God, you're not the manager. My kids want me to be the manager. Yes, I want to be the manager because I want to see my grandkids see me. I want to see my grandson run around the field. I can do it anyway. I own that place. I can walk in and out. Nobody can do. Who they're going to call the police? But that's the only reason I really want. And I went to the interview 100% ready to go, 100% try to help this organization, 100% to try to help this ball club. But unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, I wasn't the guy.
Real quick, last 2 years, and I know because I've spent so many days in that green room watching this team with you. Is it frustrating? And when you put yourself in the shoes, if I was managing, what would have happened to the White Sox in 2021 and 2022 if you were in the dugout managing that team? Where would they ultimately have ended up?
I don't know where, because so many injuries there, but I know fans and TV and everybody around baseball, they know they have some life. Last couple of years, last year, especially last year, man, that thing was like it's like a funeral home. Watching for one who was watching it. It's like somebody was dead, and I don't think they want to go to the field. That's what I think, guys. I don't know. I hope I'm wrong. And it wasn't the right, it wasn't the team to watch. It wasn't. And sometimes you get disappointed. By the way, I told the guy, I said, this ball club is horrible. I said, yeah. I had to watch it every day. And the guy told to me, Ozzie, you can pay to watch it. I had to pay to watch them. And it was embarrassing. Yes. It was hurt. Yes. I told people, you have to type it show. When they win, when they lose, when they play good, when they play bad. It's not fun for me when you every day they lose. Every day they lose. I know Slacko was there for the last 10 years. When they even win, they lost almost 100 games every year. I know how hard it could be. But when I see them, it's something to say, we play hard. What? We play hard? No shit. That's what you can pay, just to play hard. I hate that. We play hard. We bought it on tail. Well, at least you have to. That's the last thing you have to do is that. But I think discipline is going to be a lot better. I think friendship is going to be a lot better. And it's a lot of things out of the clubhouse come out, tweeters and talking. One day they hate Tony. The next day we love Tony. It's like, grandpa, we miss Tony. The next day, Kaido is the best manager. Get out of the way, Lopez. Ozzie, fuck out of here. We got the man. We win the first 2 games. After that, we hate Kaido. This is the clubhouse stuff. And I think it's having me there, no chance that will happen. No chance. And I think that's what we're missing. The reason I criticize Tony La Russa is because I think Tony La Russa was too soft with them. I think Tony tried to be a friend with them. Yes, they're your friends. But meanwhile, hey, managers like you are your own kid. I say, you be here at 10 o'clock. They 10:05, you're done. You're not fucking going anymore. Done. That's it. That's the way it should be. And that's this group of kids, that's easy to manage, man. Look at the thing I'm managing. Look at the thing I went through it. Oh God. I can't start with look at my catcher. Wow. My first baseman, not very difficult for me. It was hard because he never said much. Iguchi never talked to anyone. We got gorillas there. We do got gorillas there. and we handled him very well. Kyle Everett, very great friend. You know what I mean? So many different characters. It was ugly. And this group of guys, they're a bunch of knobs, man. They good kids. They all right. They talk, but they know they like a little chihuahua, like wah, 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 but they don't buy anyone. I think this group is a good group to handle. And I hope before he did it, he said a couple days ago, mold this ball club the way it should be mold. That's all they need.
So, Ozzie, I want to go back to 05.
Junior loves it.
A member of your coaching staff, Don Cooper. Tell me about the relationship you had with Don.
Cooper was horse shit, pitching coach. They make you believe how good you can be. No, okay, you're not good. I said talking about coaching. You're not a good manager if you don't win. You're not a good coach if you don't have success. You're not a good hitting coach if you have success. It's a hitting coach. You know what I mean? But the coaching, the real coaches, that's the one make you to believe. I say, man, you're good. Do this, do that. Good. Stay away from the players. And Cooper do all that stuff. He did. He just. By the way, my right hand man, I don't have to worry about who's in. I say, hey, get a righty up. He know exactly who righty should be out there. Give me a lefty up. He know exactly what lefty be up. That's why Cooper made my life so easy. And I think I had a lot of success because I had this man next to me. And Cooper was outstanding. Let players know what it's all about it. Make them believe how good they are. He's a good pitching coach. Hey, Leo Mazzoni. I know I'm not to talk about Leo right now, but it's an example how great a coach, a pitching coach was. Shit, you have Mario, Glavin, and Small. I'll be the pitching coach. Then he signed with Baltimore. He got fired in June. That's why. But to me, listen to Cooper every day and think about it. Cooper, you don't have a piece of paper, man. Cooper, I don't think Cooper can even write his own name. He got everything up here. You know what I mean? He know how the paper, like right now, you see the third pitch, everybody put his head down to write it down. You look in the stands, right behind the home plate, people write computer. Like guys never play baseball, writing computer about the game. I hear, let me see, let me see I can see my man here say, who was your hitting coach? Mooney?
Oh, Mooney.
Mooney was
Strupin?
hitting coach. Okay, Mooney never hit in his life.
So Gonzo, he's talking about you. When you're hitting, yeah, that was Gonzo's hitting coach.
Gonzo, Mooney's your hitting coach. That's why you never fucking play. Okay, Mooney hitting coach. Well, anyway, it was a great coach, man. It was a great coach because players love him, respect him. But how good he was, I cannot tell you do this or that. You know, but most appreciate get the fuck away from me and leave me alone. Okay, but yes, you are. That's the reason I stayed for a long time. I think the reason Cooper is not still there because now everything is a computer, analytics, all the shit, and Cooper you don't know what's 2 + 2. That's why it could be. He cannot make that. He cannot make that jump.
So, Ozzie, I've been stirring a lot of fucking dust on the internet because I actually said that prime Johan Santana was better than Chris Sale. What do you think?
Wow, different stuff. Well, you say that in Chicago, people are going to be all over your ass.
I know.
You say that in Venezuela, you say, you're right, brother. You're not better than that guy. That's a different temper. Johan Santana, one is the most dominated pitcher in baseball. I never thought Chris Sale was going to make it this long. When I saw him throw for the first time, I go, oh, my God, this kid going to get hurt quick. But it's a pretty good argument because if you tell me who I'd rather face Santana than Sale because it's so uncomfortable and dominate the league so well. But you pick one of the two best lefties in the game, and you can argue with anybody about it, especially in this town. You know, you say something about Chris Sale, like, are you crazy? They still Chris Sale still right now. You know what I mean? I think Chris has got a great career. Wow. When I got him, man, let me tell you something very good about Chris Sale. I watch TV. I never watch the draft. I never watch any of that. Nothing. Then I watching TV and I see the White Sox #1 pick, Chris Sale. They show maybe 5 seconds of highlight TV. I went to the ballpark. I called Kenny and said, "Hey, what? Bring this guy to the big league now." And Kenny go, "Well, we have to goddamn sign him first." I said, "This is the best pitcher we have, lefty pitcher we have. We got like 10 lefties out there. Bring it now, man. This kid ready to pitch here. He's ready. I will take care of him." And people forgot he come here because I was paying the ass to Kenny, asking him every day, like, "Hey, he bring it up, we put in the bullpen, and look at what this kid is meant to be." But I thought he's going to get hurt before he did. He's an outstanding guy, a gamer. And I think he did everything what he does in his career. I think I'm glad I just talked to Alex Cora. He said Chris is doing everything he's supposed to be doing and hopefully stay healthy.
Okay, I got to ask. If you were the manager and Chris Sale tore up all the jerseys in your clubhouse, what would you have done?
That ain't never happened to me, bro. Telling you right now. First of all, well, what I hear, I know I wasn't there. You told the club, you say, "Hey," or you change. You talk to the the marketing people. Say, "Brother, he's already saying no." And I think Sale was right. Players don't care about money for the organization, money for the team. They don't give a shit about that. Just the money to me. I don't care if you're going to make money or you're not. But they went to so far because he said, "I ain't pitching today with this on." And I said, "Well, if you're not pitching, get out of here." Just say, "Why? Don't worry about it. I will come out and say you got diarrhea or you hung over or whatever. I will come out with something." That it was. By the way, I was in the ESPN that time, and I had to talk about it. And I called a couple people, and they handled it the wrong way, bro. Both sides handled it the wrong way, and they couldn't know how to handle it. Some people think they're bigger than the team when they work in the front office. And Chris Sale said it right. Chris Sale said, "Oh, the promotion is more important than my Cy Young." And that's why I think that's the reason I think happened. If I was there, that never will happen.
So I don't really agree with Ozzie Jr. on a lot of shit, but he told me something right now that Juan Gonzalez is better than Frank Thomas. I believe him, Ozzie. What say you? What do you think?
Wow. Well, Juan Gonzalez was protecting with a loaded lineup.
Yeah.
Loaded. Look at the lineup: Palmeiro, Ivan Rodriguez, Sierra. They protected by big time lineup. Frank Thomas, the lineup Frank Thomas played with, at least in Chicago. I don't know when he played in another ball club. What Frank Thomas did in this town. And by the way, Frank Thomas, we friend like love, hate for 30 years. Why? Because I pushed Frank too much. And I pushed him to the limit. He was tired to see my ass every day with the White Sox. And we made Frank Thomas be a better player. I say we because it's few guys out there pushing him every minute. We all over him. We criticize him. We almost make Frank cry to make him better. He never could understand where we're coming from. But Frank Thomas, I don't remember Frank Thomas have a legit hitter behind him to protect him. And
True.
That's the reason I think Frank Thomas was better. Because you don't have nobody. You don't have no protection at all.
I'm going to go on the record right now and say that 13-year-old Ozzie Jr. was completely wrong. And I took for granted that Frank Thomas was on our team. Juan Gonzalez is my favorite all-time player. Big Hurt knows this, but Juan cannot hold Big Hurt's jock, especially with modern numbers. So
you just set me up. You said
I just said, yeah. I said little Ozzie Jr. was a huge Frank Thomas fan. You should, by the way, one day when we're not on this one, because we have a lot of questions to ask him, you can have your debate on Andre Dawson, because this guy's a huge Andre Dawson guy.
Oh, really?
You can try to put that one on him.
Good luck with that one.
Good luck with that one, Targaryen.
He's overrated, Pa. He's overrated.
Okay, who's got the next question? So if you had to redo any moment in your career with the Chicago White Sox, what would you redo differently? Or if you had, or not do differently.
Don't be too honest. Don't be too honest. When honesty kill people in this country. Honesty not get you anywhere in this country, unfortunately. When I left my country, and my dad always told me, my dad never said anything good to me. You know what I mean? And you know that. Screw him. But honest, when you're honest, you're going to have success in life. And I find now, when you're honest in baseball, that ain't going to help you. Because somebody out there, you're going to hurt his feeling. You want to hurt his reputation. You want to hurt, like, you think you know more baseball than me. And baseball, honesty, that don't work. And you can put anybody in baseball right now, anybody from Mr. Manfred to the bad boy of the White Sox. Honesty will get you anywhere. Baseball people, they won't. Yes, sir. No, sir. Even you're wrong. If you tell somebody in baseball, say, I don't know about that, you're wrong. Oh, my God, you lose your job. I don't talk to you anymore. And that's the way it is right now. I'd say that's why in baseball, I know what to say everywhere because I've never been around any industry or anything different in baseball. But honesty in baseball is just a no. You have to be like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Whoever say yes, sir, the most and better, it made more money and stay longer in that job. That's period. Amen. You say, yes, sir. Okay. You got to renew contracts. You got to be there for 100 years. The longer you say yes to your boss and you take the heat, that's good. That's good.
But would you have been okay if you did it that way? Wouldn't that eat you up inside because that's not who you are?
No, I never will do that because I was doing it. By the way, the 10 people thought I was cocky. I was like, I got it. I say ego. I know Ozzie in Spanish is ego.
Ego, yeah, you got it.
Okay,
yeah.
ego. Oh, Ozzie got an ego. No, bullshit. I don't have an ego because I know how many people behind me, they're supposed to be behind me. They just killing me, criticizing me, everything I was doing it. Why you doing that? And they know how they ball to tell me in my face. But that's why I say, no. That's not the way. This is the way. And look at the White Sox since Ozzie Guillen was there. That's people say, oh, look at his ego once again, it's ego, whatever. I said, no, look at the organization from 2004 to 2009, how good that they were all the way from the minor league. All the way to the why? Because the big league player worry about big league coaches worry about the minor league. We were looking for the first one. The communication between people in the front office with myself, it was great. After that, I guess everybody had different ego, and nobody was in the same page in that particular time. The only good thing about the organization was when Kenny and myself, we might not be in the same page early or doing it, but when we leave the room, we're in the same page. We might hate each other, we might disagree with each other, but we're in the same page. It was about winning. And one thing about it, everybody can say whatever they talk about Kenny, including myself. He hate to lose. I know that. Hate to lose. And that's why when I talk to Kenny Williams about baseball, I listen to him. When I talk to somebody else about baseball, I'm like, I see you guys are full of shit. Say, why? Because you don't know shit about this game. That's an easy reason. I went to interview the White Sox. I look around, the 4 people was in front of me, and I like, what the hell is this? One guy played for me. One guy was my video guy. They only do what is it was doing? I cannot say what it was taping in my videos, but he taping my videos and all the bullfights. I say, hey, can you put all the bullfights? I can watching and thing and talking to them. Now it seems like I had to kiss these people's ass to have the job. Okay, if you know me for 10, 20 years, how the fuck you going to interview me?
Yeah.
Like we worked together 20 years ago, all the way through the year. You're going to ask me questions, what you going to get from me when you know what you're going to get. Then I'm like, hey, man, I just going to be, then I say stuff, good stuff the way it should be. Yes. No, because I think baseball, people in the game change. No, baseball, people in the game change the game a little bit. And I know I was wrong in so many things, but I was right in most of the things I was wrong. Then I'm like, man, it is what it is. But in the meanwhile, right now, it's a lot of things out there. Some, like I say earlier, some manager, they bring the lineup down. Here's the lineup. Now you lose with this lineup. And you're going to say, wait a minute. We lose the lineup. I don't make the lineup. Those guys up there make it. You better talk. You told the media. You talk to them. Don't talk to me about it. They made the lineup. You should talk to those guys up there. But, it's so many things. It's so great thing in baseball. The analytics, I'm not against them at all. I'm not against them. But the thing is, you can do to be too drastic. Too much analytics or no analytics at all. You got to be in the middle, put those things together. And analytics no win baseball game, guys. Never will, never do. Why? Tampa Bay had the same analytics than the Marlins. White Sox had the same analytics and the Cleveland, the Cleveland Indians. Chuck, you're not here. Why Minnesota? Why those guys win more games than others when they have the same? Because they have better talent. That's it.
Yeah, Shane Beaver. That's why.
That's it. You know what? Detroit's in the way up. I think Detroit got one of the best talent in that division in the next 3 years. But why you think they lose 100 games? They got the same analytics. They got the same computers. Then all the analytics. I'm into to some point, but I think you're not going to win the Kentucky Derby running with donkeys. That's not analytics. No, you're not analytics. Analytics is good for one part, but it's horrible for another part. No, because, everybody was big time Houston Astro. Houston Astro was the model of baseball. Everybody want to be like Houston Astro in 1 year. All of a sudden they find out they're cheating. Oh, no, now we're going to be Tampa Bay. Now they lose. Oh, we got to go back to Houston Astro. Pitching, defense. Dusty Baker is a hero. It's all about who winning, man. It's all about who has more success. And I think I tip my hat to the guy in Tampa. I tip my hat to the guy in Baltimore. Even with the guy in Oakland, they don't have nothing to fight with, and they still try to compete. I tip my hat to those guys. And that's a lot of people say White Sox. They cheap. They told Jerry, they cheap. You're a cheap bastard. You're cheap. I said, no, Jerry, put the money out there. They just spend it the wrong people in the wrong way.
Yeah.
That's it. I said, when Jerry had 200, I don't know how much it was last year, third, fourth, fifth, in more money invested, but they invested with the wrong guys. That's it. You know what I mean? That's not Jerry's fault. That's obviously Jerry going to say yes or no. Then that's you know what I mean. It's just so many problems out there. You let one guy just talk. Here it is. You're the guy going to say you're going to take a charge and move on and see what happens.
Ozzie, you brought up Houston there, and they just took a franchise player away from the White Sox and a man that was our leader. And now with him gone, someone's
no. You know what's the leader? He was a great hitter and great player. Leader? No.
In some minds, they call him a leader.
Say he was a leader. Jose Abreu don't give a shit about no one. Just the kids and his wife. I'm telling you, I know. Jose Abreu go by his business. We say, oh, he's a leader. He said, no, he's a leader because he's the oldest guy. He walked like a leader.
Well, to go along with that, with what I'm saying here is someone needs to step up. A lot of people thought Lance Lynn was that guy at least for the pitching staff, but I haven't seen position players who that is. But how do you value leadership at the MLB level? And was there a perspective difference from it as a player than when you were a manager?
Well, what's a leadership? Leadership is when you are the same guys day in and day out. It's easy to be a leader when you got 40 home runs and 140 RBI and making $30 million more than anybody else. That's easy to be a leader like that. Leadership right now, I don't believe that. The Derek Jeter style, the Ozzie Guillen style, the Michael Jordan style. I'll put my name there just because I'm way below those guys, big time, 100,000% of the time. But leaders is a guy like they're going to take a lead. White Sox know how one. Because leader to me, what I see from outside guys, I know that in the clubhouse, what I see leader for me when you stick up from everybody. One day this guy say good thing about you, and the next day they hate each other. And I know it's a fact. I know it's a truth. This guy, why you take me out? Why take me out too soon? Why don't leave me another hitter? Why bat me batting third? You can see that in Twitter every day with the players. Or they say They talk about each other. That's one thing about leadership. Leadership, you gotta earn it. To me, the leader had to be the manager. The leader of this ball club, he is going to be Griffo, nobody else. I will talk to her. He said, what's a leader? What's the guy go, come on, guys, let's go. That's not leader. Leader has to be the key. The guy and the people, when he says something, everybody shut up and listen to it. Harold Baines. Harold Baines don't say anything, nothing. And Harold Baines, just to see you, look at you in the eyes, he was leading. He was the great leader. Why? He know how to talk. He just started to see you. That's it. Robin Ventura, very quiet leader. Me, very vocal leader. Very vocal. Very vocal. What's different type of leaders? And I think right now, I don't think the White Sox have a real leader. I think the reason people think he's the leader and player think the leader because he's the one with more years in the big league. This man is 6'7", 700 pounds. Ah, yes, you are the leader, buddy. You know what I mean? That's the way. John Madad was a leader, but John Madad was a pitcher. Frank Thomas never was a leader. You know what I mean? I can say guys like, Paul Konerko, big time leader. Mark Burley. It's different type of leader. When we have a Kyle Everett, when he come to the White Sox, Kyle Everett, everybody thought he was going to be the leader because he's a fighter. Everybody scared of him. He was like number 30 in our leadership. And I think the leader of Chicago White Sox, he had to be the manager Griffo, Pedro, and that's it. Everybody out there is a player, is a guy. We need you to play good, and we need to play the way you should be playing. That's it. You don't have to play. You just play hard. Go there and bust run the base hard. But don't say, oh, wow, my God, we play hard. No, you don't. Just play right, man. When you play right, that means you're playing hard. That's easy as that. You play right, that means you're playing hard. That's all it is.
We got a question on YouTube. Someone's asking, is the lack of leadership what's holding back this White Sox team?
No. A lack of, what the White Sox hold this team? 3 things. They don't play the game right. They don't try to move the guy over. They don't try to hit behind the hitter, behind the runner. They don't move, they don't turn the door play when they had to. They missing cutoff man. What I can see, our pitching staff, I think is a great pitching staff. But when you go 5 innings every game, you look around, the White Sox bullpen last couple of years, nasty. Woof. But they had to use them so much. I told you it's slack. I said, wait till July. Boom, bingo. July, everybody's down. And I think they want to strike out people maybe because they have a great. Our pitching staff's pretty good. It had been that potential. No. When I see Cease, my favorite player, White Sox player, my favorite, him and the third baseman Moncada, they're my favorite players in that ball club. When you see those guys pitch 5 innings, 110, 120 pitches, 5 innings and 2/3, 6 innings, you know what? It lasts too long. You need 2-3 guys go 7, and all of a sudden stuff's going to get together. It's going to be better. But if they know how, if the pitching staff, the starting pitcher, no go more 5 innings, more than 7 innings, they need that. They don't need leadership. Leadership comes with winning. And I think the leader of this ball club this year is going to be Pedro Grifol. And I hope they let him lead, let him do what they're supposed to do, and this ball club is going to change completely everything. Listen, first time Tony come in town, TA don't like Tony. I say that because TA, talking about something with the race and shit and races and shit. I said, why TA like to have Tony? Why Tony had to like TA? Okay. Oh, we bring a Latino guy. Well, Tony is Latino. The guy left. They got fired. It was Latino. You think because you got to bring a guy from Venezuela? You know how many problems I have with Venezuelan players? That's not mean anything. That's not mean anything. My first problem I had was Mario Ordóñez, Venezuela. Nowadays, a good friend of mine. But not because you say, hola, ¿cómo estás? ¿Estás bien? ¿Todo bien? Chévere, chévere. Oh, he got to help. No, it's not. Never happened. Never will. Look at the Latino players in the New York Mets, the body Mets. They had like 25 Latinos. The manager was Latino. Look at what they did last place. To me, not because it help you speak to language, it help the manager to speak the language, but it got to help this book. You don't go to English class. You play baseball. The only reason you're going to have success, not because you speak good English or bad English, it's just because you're winning. They pay you to win games. They don't pay you to understand what you're saying. I mean, that's why I disagree with that when people think about, oh, it's Latino. No, I'm not going to not talking about reform, baseball in general. Oh, he's Latino, that going to help. He's a Latino, going to help. Well, my boy Alex Cora, he helped the team to go to the World Series last 3 years. Oh, same Latino. He not forgot his Spanish, speaks Spanish the same way he was when he went. That's why I don't believe in Latino thing.
Yeah. Go ahead, Gonzo.
Ozzie, I got one fan question from you from one of our fans coming on later in the show. His name's Ray the Barber, and he wants to ask you, which player on today's team would fit on your 2005 championship team, if any?
I can pick anyone. The pitching staff is great. I think the players I like the most, I already said, Moncada. I love Moncada. And I think those guys will play the right way. Why? Because any player you pick from this ball club, and you gotta play with Conerco next to you, and you gotta see JD play next to you, Rowan next to you, they will kick your ass. You know, play the way you should be playing. They don't need me to say, hey, what's going on? No. They will take care of you. That's why I can pick any players play right now for the White Sox, because I know in 2005 there will be a different baseball player because the teammate they're going to have. Teammate, they will make you a better player.
Ozzie, first of all, I want to say thank you, because never I thought in my wildest fucking dreams I would be able to even have a conversation with you, let alone see you on my screen. I want to thank you for joining me tonight with these guys. One more thing I wanted to check in on. You said it best. This team does not hit behind the runner. They don't turn double plays. They don't hit the cutoff man. One of my favorite players growing up was Jose Vidro, because he did all of that. Very good fucking baseball player. Brought some of the things to the table that you did. I personally believe that the White Sox stopped going away from Ozzie Guillen style of baseball players like you, Jeff Fry. They don't value that type of game, and that's why we're always going to be stuck right in the middle, because we don't have many baseball players.
Well, you know what's funny? Because I think without defense, if you don't play defense in any sport, you suck. At least golf, you know how to play. That's why I sucks, because in golf, I know how to play defense. I have to be hitting less balls. But if you not play defense in any sport, you're not going to have success. Your ball club they're not going to have success. And I think defense is very important. I think the people nowadays forget about defense. Let's go by the offense. The first time in my life, I got surprised. The kid from play second base for the White Sox, win the Gold Glove, and next year he got released. Yomer, you know, like, what? A Gold Glover? A Gold Glove is not. It mean anything. I say, okay, you don't think you need defense? When I talk to people like genius basically, you don't need defense. No, the defense is overrated. I say, defense, okay, why let the goddamn another team hit and nobody's on the field to see how many guys they're going to score. You put the catcher and the pitcher. Go ahead, hit. We don't need defense, guys. Go ahead to see how many games you're going to win. 0. That's why I said you don't need defense. I don't see any team in Major League Baseball win without defense and pitching. Sorry. I know you need to score some runs. I know you need to score runs to win, but defense and pitching is very important. Guys, baseball is so good right now. Guy hitting 190, 12 home runs, strike out 270 times, and he got a new contract for another $50 million. Harold Bain, you take me like, how am I going to come back out of retirement and say, what the fuck, I can do that. I can do what he does. I say, hey, baseball is a lot better. Yes, but that's how baseball is. People mentality is just, you know me, what is this? What is that? Now they're going to change it. The base is on. They're going to steal more bases. They want to have a strike. They make the guys don't try too hard, try to keep people out. They try so many times to bring this baseball game back the way it was, the better pitchers. Nowadays, if you're not throwing 98, they don't go to spring training. You're not going to make the team. How about that? You're not throwing 98. People are like, what this guy is doing here? Like, now baseball is going to change because so many injuries. People throw too hard. So people, why you say, Ozzie, why people have so many out problems? They throw too hard. And the sliders put a lot of stress in your hand. That's why Burley never going to get hurt. All those guys, White, Graham Matters, all those guys, they throw too hard. Obviously, they I think they're faster. They don't know how to use it. And like I always say, I say that in the show all the time. I told Slacko, I told Chuck, I said, fat players never get hurt, never pull anything. Nothing. You look at those players with like the six pack and all muscle up, ground ball to second base, gone. Ow, my back, my hamstring, my quad, everything. That's why I think baseball players take care of themselves too much now. Why? Oh, you cannot eat donuts. Well, Pete Rose eat donuts all his life, and he got 5,000 hits. So no, everything is like, oh, we got it. This is the food we got to eat. This is the guy we got to see. We know, that baseball changed so much, man. It's just kind of weird situation because. I think baseball. I like baseball now. I like baseball playing now better because they take care of themselves. They live in the gym. You know how many years I played baseball? I went to the gym just to drink beer. Somebody lifting weight, or because I don't need it. Maybe I screwed up. Maybe I should lift weight. I might spend 2-3 more years in the big league. But that's one thing I never, it's a baseball play change a lot for good. I know what it says for bad, it's for good. And when you're hitting 190, strike out 300 times and 2 home runs, and you're making that kind of money, God bless them. God bless and good for them.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Ozzie Guillen, for being here on the show tonight. The Blackout being with us on our first show, the first of many. I'm sure you're going to be dying to come back and talk more baseball and have you on.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Why not? I have fun. Your mom is just opened the door like, oh my God. I said, it's a show with the boys.
She asked. She's like, who's the show with? She asked,
no,
like, who's the show with?
She opened the door. She's like, I said, why? You want me to watch your goddamn soap operas down there in Venezuela? All this fake boots and
What's it called? What are you watching? The Battle of the...
Bro, I'm watching everything.
The House of the Famous People.
Famous, like, House of the Famous. I watch everything. Anything you want to know about Latino TV, I can tell you right now, we can do a podcast about that.
All of the reality shows.
All the reality shows, I have to watch it.
Well, thank you for joining us. We will.
Thank you, guys. Thank you,
Poppy.
Good luck. Anytime you guys need me, especially when shit hit the fence, I'm good to have on the show.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Love you guys. Thank you.
See you.
Thanks, Ozzie.
All right, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
World Series manager Ozzie Guillen. I think
just say he's your dad. Dude, why you have just your dad?
You know what though? That's just weird. I got so used to when I was broadcasting and saying like, "Oh, my dad made that call," or my dad. Like people understand like when Ozzie talks. So Ozzie is very chaotic. There's a lot of things in life that he's probably not an expert in. But in the game of baseball, when you talk baseball to Ozzie, the X's and O's, he is very, very smart. A genius when it comes to it because I'm someone that understands analytics. I know what the numbers mean, and it's like putting something together. And Ozzie, there's things that he realizes, like many great baseball guys, that he doesn't need the computer. He could see it and say, "Oh, that guy's good," and then the numbers are going to back it up. And the part that he talked about that I don't want to get misconstrued in the storyline is that, and you guys are going to be hearing this throughout the whole preseason and the whole. I think when the season starts from him on the show is that he firmly believes that if Pedro Grifol and his coaching staff is allowed to do their job, okay, that the White Sox have a better chance than they ever did before of winning the division and winning a lot of games. What he does believe is that if the front office, okay, decides to give him the lineup and decides to tell him play this guy and do this, that they will hinder the process because he does not believe that there's anybody in there in the day-to-day of the operations that knows more than Pedro. So he's like, they need to go in and like just listen to these guys. And which is very unique coming from a guy that has been in the White Sox a long time, okay, knows those guys very well. And from what he's heard, he's saying, this is what we might need. And people don't remember when Ozzie came in 2004, and that's something that the White Sox fans, especially the younger players, they think that they had Ozzie hiding in a closet. Ozzie played, and after 1997, Ozzie had no connections to the White Sox whatsoever. Like he became, he played on winning teams in other places, and then his coaching career was not with the White Sox. So he was in other spring trainings. He was in other organizations. He had just been of a team that had been completely rebuilt and had just won a World Series. So when he came into the White Sox, yes, he had played there, but he was fresh blood, new ideas. You know, he brought in a coaching staff. The guys that had been there had not been there for a long time. So in that sense, again, I don't like comparing guys because, you know, that's just not fair. But Pedro Grifol brings that. Like he has a fresh perspective. And that's why I said anything that happens in the first like year, 6 months minimum, is not his fault because this guy just got the job. So I think that that's something that when Ozzie wants to bring that this is the guy, he knows what he's doing. Let him do his job. Let him fill in his own. And that's something that I always think, again, from coming from Ozzie, is huge.
And that brings us to Grifol's grounds. Roll the clip.
I don't have a problem making decisions. I don't have a problem making a call on a pitcher. I don't have a problem making a call on whatever our team needs at this particular moment. So I think catchers just over time making so many decisions behind the plate, I think that's pivotal.
So as we get from one manager in Ozzie to the present manager in Pedro Grifol, there's been a lot of high praise for him so far through the first 10 days of spring training. Pitchers and catchers reported last week. Everyone's talking about the high energy. Everyone's talking about the communication being good. Everyone's talking about how concise he is with his communication. That he wants the players' attention for 10, 15 minutes. They've got a plan. Boom, go do it. And at the end of every day, after every workout, everyone's happy. The high praise has been coming from him too for a few of these players. He said Luis Robert could potentially win an MVP, and he said he's been extremely impressed with Jay's boy, Yohan Moncada. Well, I guess it's Junior and Jay's boy, Yohan Moncada.
Yeah,
he's not wrong. You know what? I love that he's doing it. I think he might be doing it secretly, and I think that these guys, at what point do we say, what are you guys going to live up to your expectations? Okay.
I think people are asking that question right now.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. But I mean, from a manager, like I think when a manager could be like, I think that you should go for the MVP. That to me has like a hidden message of like, I think that you should be competing at that level. Moncada, I think that you look great. How come you don't perform for that? Because Moncada has looked great in the past 3 spring trainings. Again, last year he got hurt, but it's like, how do you keep that consistency? So Pedro is constantly reminding them. And what I like about Pedro, and again, the dynamics of the former manager, which was a little bit older in age, is that the energy is there. And I think every day he's going to be able to come in and be able to deliver that at 100%. He wears like a $7,000 watch, which I even love it because that takes swagger to do.
You pointed that out in the group
I'm
chat.
just saying, but I'm just saying because it's got swagger. And like, if you know what, fake it till you make it. Again, he's going to come in. He's got expectations, and he keeps bringing those expectations back. He's not hiding from them. I think if Pedro Grifol would have been at Sox Fest, he would have answered every question. Every time he's delivered the speech, and he's very concise in both languages. I give him praises for that because he's handled some really hard conversations already day one. He's already been challenged more in the media than in the actual field. The Mike Clevenger situation, he's handled it really well. Hasn't hidden from the messages, but I think that message that he's sending out to players, the Larry Garcia, he's here to make a team. Common sense tells you they're not going to release Larry because he's making $10 million. But
hey,
that
if they did it with Dallas Keuchel,
but again, though, that's a message. They did it with Keuchel, and your manager's
right.
telling to the front office. He's telling all the front office, and he's telling all the fans, "Hey guys, I'm here to make my lineup. I don't care how much money you make," and that I respect because now he just put Larry on check, saying, "Hey, dude, you got to compete," and I like that. We're competing. Colas, you got to compete. If he plays well, and that's something that I think we, as fans and media, we've handed these guys a lot of like, this is your position. This is your like. They really didn't have to fight for it a lot of times, and Pedro's going to make them do it.
Yeah, and going back to Moncada, it's like, look at the situation between Moncada and Jake Berger. Now we both know Moncada is a better third baseman than Jake, but Pedro is the type of manager that will demand a type of competition out of Jake as far as like, show me you can at least man the position. That's something that, let's just take 21 and 22. Moncada knew he was the starting third baseman every fucking day without anybody else opening his mouth and reassuring that. Now, I think Pedro's putting the players in a position to be like, all right, now it's time to get your ass back to work because now your contract doesn't solidify your position anymore. And we just got done, discussing that with $10 million Leary legend. So
But to me, I
hopefully
think
this could tear some stuff up.
it's almost unfair to Grifol, though, that in the eyes of the fan base, a lot of people think he's the biggest offseason addition that this team had.
And he shouldn't be. He shouldn't be. They should let him do his
That's
job.
the problem, is that's what the front office has essentially put him in this position. We saw, I think Dylan Cease was on with Chuck on the podcast talking about the new coaching staff. Hopefully the energy and the focus and the preparation, hopefully they get more out of the players. To me, that means that the previous coaching staff was failing to do so. How that was, I can't say for sure. We don't know for sure. But obviously, Tony and Ricky's staff both did not get the elite talent out of the players that they, at least a handful of them, have. It's unfair to Pedro Grifol to now basically say you're a failure if this team, which is essentially the same roster, doesn't perform better. That is unfair to him.
So I have a question for you guys. How big? So I was thinking about this because when I compare Pedro Grifol, I compare him to like the statistics of what are the futures bets are saying. So like right now they said the White Sox are going to win 74 games. If Pedro Grifol wins 75, I think he was a better manager than what he was supposed to be. Okay, so I don't think the White Sox are a 90-win team because if then Pedro Grifol did not win 90 games, I think he's a failure. Here's the thing. Could Pedro Grifol be a success and the team be a failure? I think so. I really do. And watching the situation where you have that show that we saw that you guys told me about, the Birmingham project, and you see all the guys that are here that, that are the contracts are coming up that, you might not re-sign. I really think that if they don't start off hot to like compete for a playoff spot, they should move on. And they got Pedro Grifol, and he is the future, meaning he is here for more than 3 years, because they can't change a manager again in like 2 years. Not if they have like a long-term process of what they're doing, because he cannot, as a first-year manager, I think that it's not fair with the current roster that he has to be blamed on, he failed at winning the division, because there was not that many roster acquisitions. There was basically 3 now. One came at the end, which is a veteran player, Elvis Andrews, Benintendi, who is a good player, but not like a changer because they lost a lot of big names. And then Mike Clevenger, which we have a big asterisk because he is a great talent, meaning potential-wise, but we don't even know if he's in a pitch because of the whole situation. So even the guys that they got have a lot of like...
While losing Abreu and potentially Hendricks.
And Pollock. And again, no one brings up the Liam thing because obviously it's a healthy situation. It's a healthy...
Sure. Yeah, obviously not something the front office controls.
Nobody was controlling that, but let's be honest. Liam Hendricks is not, if he is not the best closer in Major League Baseball, he is in the top 2-3 in the American League very easily. So losing him, it's really hard to replace, but it's one less body that you have to count with. So again, there's a lot of things when it comes to the actual construction of the team that I did not see a lot of like additions to put it on Pedro and say, they're not the San Diego Padres where they just went and got half of everyone who was if that had happened, I'd say, okay, Grifol, you got to win or lose like right now. Yeah. Because, and that was the difference between Ozzie when he came in as a manager, because the Sox hadn't performed to their ability of like getting to the playoffs, but he didn't come into a complete disaster. Grifol's literally walking into a dumpster fire of a season. Like last year was a disaster. I'm just saying it was just a disaster. Like nothing went right. Okay. It was just bad from the beginning. It was just horrible. Injuries, performance, like any way that you want to look at it, attitude, emotions. Like it was like a really bad season for the Chicago White Sox. Probably one of the worst that I've ever pictured.
If Dylan Cease didn't finish second in Cy Young, like, is there anything really positive you can take away from that?
I really don't, because in the year before they had the German.
Well, Sebi hit 3 home runs.
Who?
Sebi Zavala hit 3 home runs that one day.
In that one game?
That was 2 years ago.
Damn! See,
that was 21.
By the way, guys, the season was so bad. Okay, and I want to say this right now. Get the air cleared to all the White Sox listening. Do not ask in any more chat rooms across the city of Chicago if TA is going to play shortstop or Elvis Andrews.
Wait, people are asking that?
Where is he going to play? TA is your shortstop. TA is one of your franchise players. Okay. TA is going to lead off until somebody else can take that job, and then maybe they can use him as a run producer. But if TA is on one leg, he is still your shortstop, and that's why the season was crazy. Thank you. That's why the season was crazy. That Elvis Andrus, and Elvis is from Venezuela, guys. I love Elvis Andrus. He had like 3 good weeks, and they were like, oh, maybe we need to trade TA and let Elvis play. I'm like,
he had 3 like outstanding
correct,
weeks,
but
it's still such a small right. Yeah,
I'm like, this guy TA has the most value out of anyone on the pitchers, because obviously pitching is more than baseball. But TA has the most value because he's not making a lot of money. If you put TA on the market, teams with shortstops are going to go get him. Teams that have like an everyday shortstop are going to say, we're going to try to get this guy just because he's so much. So that one needs to get out of the way, because, again, I feel that Elvis is going to play second. He's going to be great. But the White Sox fans were so desperate that they were looking for like flashes of hope of like, oh, we need to trade this guy. We need to move this. And unfortunately, because it was just a really bad season.
Gonzo, what did you think of the Sox offseason?
Well, I want to go back there last year. Besides Cease, I think the reemergence of a setup guy in Lopez in the bullpen, that's huge emergence that they definitely needed last year with the bullpen.
But that's not
injuries.
Making you a World Series contender.
I'm not saying that.
Like,
but
yeah, it's a
like,
good
the
story.
positives you can take out of last season going forward. That definitely helps you, especially with Liam going down. Guy like Rilo stepping up there. Now you have him as at least a setup man. Does he have the mentality to be a closer? We have not seen that yet, but I'm sure he's going to get the opportunity to do so. I think Grifol will give that to him, because I know Tony as manager, that's one thing I liked about Tony handling the bullpen is early in the season, he gave those guys the opportunities to prove themselves or not. So later in the year, he knows who he would go to. Grifol's going to have to do that same thing, especially with a manager that hasn't managed at the big league level before. But besides Lopez, it's hard to even think anything else. I think
exactly.
Being Kopech, I like to see his first half in the rotation as a starter. I loved what I saw. That's a guy that on a stretch there, he dominated the Yankees and the Dodgers back to back. Like, if we get that guy for a full season, which you have to build that arm strength up to, that's going to be a nasty 1-2-3 with Cease, him, and then Lynn. Lynn's a guy that from 19 to 21, he was in Cy Young conversation and voting. So if you get those 3, especially if Cease takes that next step forward with his pitch counts and lowering that walk rate, and what we've seen with him adding a changeup, I mean, we can get on pitching later with Junior, but that's just, I can't wait for the pitching side of it. But to go with your question with this offseason, this is what frustrates me is because we've had questions at right field and second base for what, three years now. And
who was the last like really good right fielder that we were pumped about?
Melky Cabrera.
Oh my goodness.
And they put left.
Palka.
Yeah, I mean, it's been like fill-ins since. God, I can't even think of the last like right fielder that we penciled in every day and we're like, okay, we're happy with this guy. And
Hans' answer to that is basically Project Birmingham, where we're waiting for these prospects to come up. But he has a really high confidence in the guy in Oscar Colas, who I agree, my highest prospect. But for a guy that hasn't played that many games in Double-A, I don't believe he's at that level to get everyday starts in right field. But who knows if he'll tear it up to spring training, take it from there. Great, but I just saw them talk and hype up Romy Gonzalez, but then they signed Elvis Andrus to probably play second base because they're going to give him some time to get up to that level to play every day at second base as well. So I just wish if they knew that they were going to sign Elvis to play second base, if that was the project all along, I would like to see an addition in right field. I mean, I would have loved to see them spend money on a guy like Haniger, who San Francisco paid money to play in right field, have him play in right field and work up Colas if that's what you're going to do. But even what we saw in 21, like Houston showed us that our arms weren't as prominent as the potential that we've seen. And we got beat in 21. Lack of offense, granted, but our pitchers, and granted that was Cease's first year, but our arms weren't good enough in the postseason. And we haven't done anything since to get a dominant arm in that rotation to back up where we see our potential. Granted, you need guys like Cease and Kopech to stand up, but I would love to see them this offseason buy another arm. And your answer to that, which Clevenger, talking about his arm, he's probably 5th on my list this offseason. That number 5. I would have took a guy like, I know Justin's going to probably kill me on this, but Sean Manaea,
You make me sick.
who, hold up,
Who had
Hold
the
up.
worst ERA in Major League Baseball last year statistically?
hold up.
Oh,
Hold up. You also didn't realize he got no run support in San Diego for like.
Oh, he's going to get plenty with the White
majority.
Sox.
Hold up. Now compare contracts. All right. Look at what Sean Manaea got. 2-year deal, 2 years, $25 million. In 23, he's getting paid $7.5 million. And now we're going to go with a guy with Clevenger and pay him $8 million.
12.
That's right, $12 million. So put his off the field issues aside, I feel a lot stronger with a guy like Manaea there, paying him that contract than I do with Clevenger, or even pay an extra a little bit, maybe $5 to $6 million more and pay for Bassett. Like, it just irritates me with some of the contracts we see this offseason of guys offering and beating us. And I know Junior spoke to me about the Sox offering Rodon, what was it, 5 for 158, which was like 30 something million.
that was the word. That was the word on the street. Obviously, I think
Yeah.
that they probably were getting beat out by anybody in the market.
Which, if that offer was true, that is more than New York's offer with the state tax included.
Oh, did not think about that. Well, again, I think that
So-
with Rendon going there, I think that it would have been like maybe there's some blood. I don't know. I
Right.
really don't know.
And I'm sure he didn't enjoy the front office side of how that situation was handled. But then again, even if you fall off the cliff on that target, you got to come up with something better than Clevenger. If Han is telling you you're going to have a championship parade in the city of Chicago.
I hate the way that I don't want to say nickel and dime, but like they'd much rather spend $8 million on this guy and $7 million on this guy and $12 million on this guy than pool that all together in one really good player. How many times, like, what was it, 2 years ago? Like, okay, Adam Eaton got the same amount as Kyle Schwarber, and they get, they re-sign Leury for what, like $5.5, $6 million. Like, put together all those crappy contracts you end up just cutting bait with middle of the season or turning out to be a failure. Pay that to like Chris Bassett instead of Clevenger. Okay, I like the Benintendi move. I think that's a really good fit, but there's other holes. Look at teams like the Padres or other, the Mets, obviously. They go out and sign anyone that they want to fill any hole that they have. Instead of signing these like short-term $3 and $4 million or 1 year prove-it deals, pool that money together, go give it to one player and say, we're good. Then that's where you can use your minor league system to add that depth, or go get the veteran minimum to get Andrews or whatever to come and give you that depth when you ultimately have the inevitable injuries.
So number one, I think that the Elvis signing is because they're scared that if something happens to TA, that they won't have a shortstop. Okay, Larry playing at short, I don't think is an everyday solution. So they had to go get Elvis in the offseason because he solved that problem for them. They're like, okay, now they have a backup plan. I think second base is still going to be a juggernaut on what happens. But what Slav is completely right. I think that that's been a strategy issue, okay, where they've tried to, like, instead of going and putting all their eggs in a basket and saying, like, this is our guy, because they did a great scouting and they said, we're going after him, kind of like a Grandal move, and saying, this is our guy, we're going after him, we want to solidify a position and stay that way. They try to fix little problems by not acquiring the right guy. So you're like literally replacing the same. There's a guy that no one talks about, Davis Martin, okay? A guy that I don't know why no one talks about him. I guess he's not as good looking as Michael Kopech, or his movement of his ball is not as great, or doesn't throw as hard as Crochet. I'm just saying, though, it throws as hard as Crochet.
He doesn't have the stuff.
I'm just saying he doesn't have the stuff. But again, he's not that impressive. But every time they called him up last year, I'm always a big believer of, like, what can a guy do in the big leagues? And that's the only reason that Oscar Colas worries me, because Pantera destroyed minor league baseball. It wasn't even fair. He struggled in the big leagues after a little bit. So Colas is going to have to make that adjustment. Davis Martin coming in as a first-year guy, just kind of thrown into the mix, looked at times just as bad or just as good as guys that we have high praises for no matter what. So when you have a guy like that, okay, you're going to go spend, and not only spend, they set the market for Clevenger, which is something I think they shouldn't have done. They went and said, we're going to give you $12 million. We set the market for everybody else. There was like no negotiation. I think they went way too early in on that one. I don't know why, because they weren't that desperate for a fifth starter, because not only do you have Martin, which just showed you can pitch in the big leagues, you also have Crochet coming back. So in that sense,
coming off
like,
Tommy John to try to put
correct.
him in the rotation,
but I'm saying that
that's
like you
just
had,
not
but I'm saying like you could have thought like long term, because Clevenger obviously with a 12-year deal, $1 million, they're thinking like he's going to be here more than one season. So I don't know why when they do that strategy about like drafting and developing, there's teams that say, okay, we develop pitchers, Cleveland, and then we trade for hitters. Okay, what's the White Sox strategy? Like, do we develop pitchers? Do we develop hitters? Like, when I look at the White Sox, like we went from like a little bit old school to like now we're going into like this analytical world of like we're going to see Tampa type of moves where the closer goes in and like we need an identity, and whatever that identity is, it has to happen from like the acquisition and the development of players. Like, who do we develop? Like right now, I feel like we only develop second basemen because our list of infielders, middle infielders, is like everyone in the minor leagues. But I'm like, who's the main catcher? So like, there's no balance. So like, there's nothing that I can say, hey, I trade you. The only reason the Cubs got rid of Dylan Cease is because they built pitchers. Pitchers could definitely get traded there because they had a lot of them. Obviously, they probably got rid of the guys now. They like, man, I wish we had that guy back. So when you build your systems, it's like, I know I'm going to keep some guys, but I'll trade the others for, again, those big pieces. And then I'm going to save some money on big key guys to like kind of place the holes of what's my core. The White Sox, again, I don't know why they cannot be able to do that. And again, I really hope that if they had put all those money to get those little times where like the Melkys and like those little mini contracts they put in, I think it would be time to sign like just a big name free agent and just ride with it. I think fans.
Well, we had our fucking chance. We had our chance, Junior, when Marcus Semien hit the market again. That would have solved damn near 80% of our issues. Besides trying to figure out where we're gonna get.
Would Marcus Semien would he be your second baseman or shortstop? Again, he could probably be your second baseman right now every day.
Second
that would have been
sure.
It would have been no problem. You never look for another one.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. And TA, if you get rid of TA, which is a TA conversation, again, no one wants to talk about it because it's early in the year. But if TA is in their future, I hope that they're talking to him to extend him. Because the last thing that they need, because if they want to win a World Series or they want to get into the playoffs, that means that TA is at his level. Because I don't think this team can win without TA being TA, with being one of the top players. If TA goes in and has another great year, meaning I'm in the top 15 conversation of MVPs, batting title flirtation, now with this base stealing situation, TA could steal 20 plus very easily. Now his money's just like his stats are just getting bigger. So if you're not thinking about re-signing him, like what's your next move? Like that, they got to start thinking about that. And Simeons would have been somebody like you let TA go, Simeons goes to short. So those are situations when you look at the contracts that I think from a longevity standpoint, it makes you think, because if he is going to be the guy, you're going to give him the $100 million plus, that's great. He deserves it. But if he's not, what's your plan B? And who's coming behind? Some kid in single A? That's where I see the gap. I'm like, ooh, that's a big jump from like, ugh. Like, I don't see, especially if you're trying to compete.
And shortstop is not like, left field or second base where you can just plug a guy there. That's a social position in the game. Like catcher, pitcher, shortstop, center field, they gotta be one of the heads of your team. So just letting TA walk without a contingency plan, that sounds like a fucking disaster.
I would have. Marcus Semien would be a very good fit, obviously. Any quality second baseman. To me, like, if you're going to spend, to me, it goes back to Machado. Don't go in there with this, incentives and blah, blah, blah. Look at what happened now in San Diego. They didn't want to match that price. Now he's opting out. And that deal looks cheap as hell compared to what Trey Turner just got, compared to what Dansby, like the contracts are only going to get higher and higher and more expensive and more expensive. So if you have to bite the bullet for 5 years and the player opts out after 3 or whatever, chances are in 3 years, it's still going to be an affordable deal, which is why they're going to want to opt out. That is a failure, again, kind of along the same lines. Like, stop nickel and diming and taking all these risk chances on, veteran players and, maybe he'll get healthy and maybe this, maybe that. Go get someone that is going to rake. Manny Machado would have been that guy. Like Marcus Semien, yes, I'd much rather sign a guy than have to trade assets, prospects, whatever for him. But don't spend just to spend. Like, I think in retrospect now, the Grandal deal, there's a lot of people that don't really love that deal. Right now, the fact that Andrew Benintendi is the highest contract you've ever given out in
Absolutely
franchise history
disgusting.
it's like, hello.
It's mind-boggling.
The Mets, the Padres, the Dodgers, all these other teams, the Yankees, obviously, they have like 9 guys that have had contracts larger than Andrew Benintendi on the same team. Stop nickel and diming and go, like you said it, Grandal, that was their target. That was their guy. And it was the highest contract that they'd ever offered to a free agent at the time, but it was still a cheap contract. Yes, he's had injury issues. I personally think he's going to have a bounce back year if he can stay healthy. And I'm so tired of saying if he can stay healthy, why get more depth, get quality depth. And the development thing, like you said, Junior, like why do other teams withstand injuries better than the White Sox? Because they're not developing. Like, do they have an identity as a franchise? And that's part of the, I don't want to say a failure of the rebuild, but when you blow it all up, you're taking everybody else's parts and things that your scouts like and things that you think you can bring to a major league team. But on this roster in 2023, how many guys are homegrown White Sox talent that they drafted, developed, or signed internationally and developed? Luis Robert, Andrew Vaughn,
TA,
Tim Anderson,
yes.
Sheets.
He's not playing every day. Well, I mean, he might end up playing right field if Colas.
Well, I'm just saying, he's on the roster, but you're not, because again, Moncada's a trade, Eloy's a trade, Cease's a trade.
Exactly, those are not
Kopech,
the White Sox didn't develop those guys. Moncada came in, he raked at AAA for however long, made baseball look like the easiest sport in the world, and then he came to the big leagues. Eloy, that's a Cubs player that was developed by the Cubs, and how many people were clamoring for him to be in Major League Baseball earlier than he actually was? Like, it's just a failure from the top down for multiple things. Like, what is your identity in developing a team? Like the Cleveland Indians, like you said, or the Guardians, sorry, dang, that's $5. Like they're going to develop their pitching and they're going to try to piece together an offense and play solid defense. That's their identity. For years and years and years, we knew exactly what the Twins were going to be. Somebody gets hurt, some fucking schmuck from AAA comes up that you never heard of and he hits 310. Like, it's just so frustrating that the White Sox cannot be that franchise. It seems like they will never be that model franchise.
And you said the other day, though, like Cleveland has the advantage again in Twins, like in the base pads, like with this new rule change.
Oh,
again,
Billy Hamilton. I'm just saying starting in right field.
So if your team, and this is when we hit the home run conversation.
Don't make that face.
No, I'm saying like your home run conversation. Okay, if you have a roster and you don't have the big boppers, and it's like they're potentially big boppers, at what point do you make an agile move and say, okay, guys, we're not going to chase the home run. We have this new rule shift change. Let's let the home runs come when they come. We're literally going to try score as fast.
That's what Menachino said last year. He literally said, fuck the home runs in a press conference.
No. But you don't say, I'm not saying you don't announce that at all. You're just saying, he's dumb for doing that. I'm just saying as a team, meaning, and I'm not talking about your hitting. You're saying, okay, we're not going to score 300 runs. Okay. Because we're not there offensively. So meaning this spring training, our defense has to be completely solid. Okay. So if it is playing someone like a guy in right field, okay, like Billy Hamilton, because he is better defensively, and you're gonna get 5 home runs less from that right fielder, but they're not gonna score 15 runs off of you a week because the ball's in right field, then you make that change. Okay.
I think with these new rules, Billy can steal like a hell of a lot of bases.
Billy Hamilton gets on base, he's gone. Again, you can pinch run him every single time, and if you cause 2 throwovers, the ball, you're just going to second.
I mean, look, I hope Colas pans out. I personally don't. It's nothing against Gavin Sheets. I just don't want to see another first baseman playing the outfield every single day.
He's very bad in the outfield. I love Gavin. I think that he was worse in the outfield than even Andrew. I think that his defensive skills, and again, there's just players like that, David Ortiz. There's just guys that have trouble with the glove. Like he is like Eloy is just a big guy, but he's not bad. Like the way he gets the ball, he moves to it. Sheets, I think he might be a liability in the outfield. But again, they need to work on the defense because that needs to improve. And then fundamentals and how do you get that sound and take baby steps. Like, people want these teams like, oh yeah, like they're gonna come in, they're gonna hit 30 home runs. Like these guys need to get there and hit like stages. And then so when people talk about Cease, like, oh, he needs to take it to the next level and gone. Like, what next level? The fact that he's going to win the Cy Young? Like if he stays in the top 3, I'm more worried if the Sox this year say, okay, Cease stays the same, even if he doesn't improve like 1%, stays the same, but everybody else kind of moves up a little bit, the team's better.
They're in great shape.
What you don't want is the Chris Sale effect. Cease jumps to be like the best elite pitcher in baseball, and everyone either stays the same or digresses. And now you have Ohtani, Trout, Anaheim, where nobody grew at the same time. So that's where you're, like there's certain players that are like, wait a minute. And that's where the TAs and the Cs of the world are like, wait a minute, like I'm playing just fine. You got to look to the next side and say, dude, you're the one that's not playing well. You got to pick it up. And that's where I think that they're going to start looking at this roster construction and say, okay, who's making sense? Who's not? Let's move some pieces around and put some competition in here.
We've seen the stats the last couple of years. When they hit home runs, they win. When they hit home runs, they score, obviously, a hell of a lot more runs. But when it's the same exact roster, how do you expect to just all of a sudden hit 50, 75, 100
because Slav, because you have to get runners on. Okay, so if you got a runner on, people are like, oh my God, the Scott Podsednik effect. Okay, you get on first base. The whole game changes because now you're like, oh my God, this guy's going to steal. So
with these new rules, 1,000%. But that's not been baseball for the last 10 years.
But just mentality-wise, like meaning the Sox need to get more people on base so they can pitch guys differently. The problem last year was, yes, they were putting the ball in play and they were they're like, but they were not hitting in counts that you're like, you get a runner on second, you're going to pitch different. I don't care if it's new baseball, old baseball, analytics. You start changing your game up. If you don't have anyone on base, and that's where Grifol, I think, even from his first press conference, the first time we ever heard him say, and I know that Gonzo started crying when he talked about the horizontal plane and all that. He was probably like tearing up at his house because everyone that loves LA said, but he touched on a point of if they walked, and he got Moncada as an example. Moncada walked 82 times in that great season of like cutting down on the swings and misses. Okay, because swings and misses are great when you're hitting like 50 home runs. But if you're not hitting them, then you need to get on base so that other guys can hit home runs in better situations. I think last year's White Sox struck out way too much. I don't know what for being such a small ball team, a lot of strikeouts. So this season, I would like to see for them to have success. If they can get on base, I think that they'll have better success hitting wise because they'll get to see better pitches. I think last year that's why they had no shot.
Oh, Jay, and you got to think about it too. Speed was not a White Sox element too. So even if I did get a guy on first base as a pitcher, I know he's not going. So I could still throw my breaking ball in the dirt. I could still pitch to guys I'm just trying to get a singular out. Whether you bring speed back into the equation, Slav, you're talking about Billy Hamilton. Can you imagine? You're going to get 95% fastballs with Billy Hamilton on first base because I can't afford for any fucking wrinkle to get away, or he's going to be on second, or he's going to be on third. It seemed like last year the White Sox hitters were hitting from a 1-2 count instead of a 2-1 count. It wasn't all gas. Let's just go fucking attack the baseball. It was hold on, wait a minute, player. Let me, the bogus ass check swings, all type of stuff. So I think you were on to some. I don't want to see Billy Hamilton in fucking right field. I
don't want to see it, but he might be the best option for what they're trying.
The roster.
Right.
That you need depth though. Unless Colas is number one, I don't think Colas breaks camp with the team just because of service time. So you need somebody there for the first couple weeks. But if it's,
if we're talking about service time and you're talking about winning a World Series, then that's bullshit.
Correct. But again, bullshit. But that's their bullshit. If Pedro Grifol walks into the office and Colas hit 0-50, and Pedro Grifol's he is ready for the big leagues, you put him in the roster. Because your jefe, your boss.
If you're serious about winning,
if you're serious about winning, and when they ask you why is this guy hitting 150 making the roster, you say because I think that he is our everyday right fielder and I want to test him out in the big leagues. But that's where the kind of the irony and kind of the hypocrisy of the Sox. Because I'm going to be honest with you, when Ozzie was interviewing, that was my main concern of people would be like, hey, you want Ozzie to be the manager? I'm like, not with this roster. There's got to be some help. This is, Ozzie's good, but he's not getting the 2005 Sox. There's some things that need to be changed, but then they have great talent. But it was okay, if Ozzie gets hired, my whole worry was if he wasn't Rick's guy, if everyone wasn't on board, is there going to be a struggle of, do we get Ozzie all the right pieces, for example? And then it'd be this internal struggle again, flashback, Ozzie fighting Jerry, Kenny and Ozzie trying to get maybe a player, and then Rick doesn't want it in his little group. And it's again, Ozzie and Kenny versus the division of these guys. So that's why we were always like, everybody's gonna be on the same page. Like if one person's off, it's a no-go. Like if you guys, then White Sox fans need to understand this. From the beginning, the Guillen family said we put on the table canceling Twitter, no more social. We put everything on the table. But one thing was for sure on the side of the Sox was it's gonna have to end in great terms, and everyone needs to be on board. If one person is not on board, he's not the guy. Because what we had lived in the past. And the reason that we did that was, okay, because we wanted everyone to be on the same page. So when Grifol got signed, okay, I was like, okay, we're going to see some moves. Why? That's your guy. So if I bring you guys, if any of you guys are my manager, I'm going to do everything possible to help you succeed because I need to give you those tools. So I don't know if this was because it was a transition year and they don't know what they really have and they really want to test out what they have. But what they've all been saying is we're going for the win. Like our window's still open. We're going for the World Series. And we're like, there wasn't that much of an addition to what you've done. So that's where I'm like, I'm a little confused on like their whole take because they have their guy as a manager. Wouldn't they want just to add more value to that? Like, if by the way, if Manny Machado does opt out of his contract,
he already said he would.
Just like if it happens, and he goes into the free agency, and the White Sox are literally a serious contender, they don't need to talk about amounts. They don't need to talk about. They need to say like, what is the highest bid that you have? We'll beat that, and just overpay because he's going to try. But at one point, you have to overpay because everyone else is paying around you in the Midwest. It's like, okay, I need to go and spend my $100 million. So we'll see when that time comes, but we need to see how serious they are. I think, for example, the Abreu situation, the only reason that I critiqued it was if you know that Abreu is going to walk away and you don't want him back, why did you not trade him last year and get something in return?
But what message does that send to your fans when you are basically admitting we're not good enough right now, but every single day in the media you're saying we have the talent to win? That's
why you have to stay quiet. But you didn't know. I knew that the worst thing that happened last year was the fact that they were still in it, that they were still like lingering around and doing the math because of that second playoff. And the part that I think is a positive for Pedro Grifol, and is the reason why the White Sox were lingering around, is that we have this extra playoff. Okay, there are teams that might be better, better fitted, teams in the East to be the wild card team, but you don't have to win the division in order for you to get into the playoffs. So the White Sox goal should win as many games as possible. That's their goal. I don't want if the White Sox, I hate the American League Central does this crap all the time, where it's like if like the best team's at 80, everyone's like at 78. If the best team's like at 98, everyone's like at 97. They all play to their level. So the Sox need to just say, you know what, I'm going to win as many games as possible. And that way they can get into another playoff and see what happens. But I think that from an offseason standpoint, I think they probably could have done a little bit more. I don't know. Again, I know there's financial restrictions. Moving forward, I know this is the beginning this year of like the Grifol era. I think it's time, like if they got a new manager, new place, like again, like you just said, Slav, like stop. I hate using the word nickel and diming, but like put your strategy into one person. Like don't hire 5 people to do one person's job. Just hire the best one person for the job. And that's just like in everything in life. You can get a bunch of guys that are like just starting out of your career, and have it all across your company. Or you can have like 1 or 2 really good people that can do those jobs for everybody across. Again, you have to overpay comparing it to the real world.
Well, there's certainly a lot of complaints about the free agent decisions, the trades, the front office in general, which leads us to the Stone Pony tweets of the week. All right, Gonzo, we got a good tweet this week that you found from our guy, Aloha, Mr. Hand. This is something that's kind of the voice for a lot of White Sox fans, the frustrations from the top down. Let's see the tweet. I think there was like a second and third tweet that added onto this list.
He went fucking ham on Rick Hahn.
And I mean, it's fair. I think we're all on the same page that there's some shortcomings, certainly. But like, look at this list. You let Abreu walk, fan favorite, okay, quote unquote leader. You get nothing for him. Sox Fest, no go. All these other teams, including the team on the north side, brought back their fan convention. Sox did not bring back Sox Fest. Mike Clevenger, okay, when that signing happened, okay, it's a chance, blah, blah, blah. He's got a history. We know he knows the AL Central, yada, yada, yada. What's happened since then? Different story. Parking prices, ticket prices. Now with number 5, the answer is to bring back Elvis Andrus and play second base. Like, we still don't really know what the situation is in right field. The last question there at the bottom of the tweet: how in the world do you think this is a good approach to regaining fans' trust? This is essentially White Sox fandom right now in a nutshell. There's a lot of frustration.
He snapped.
What do you think?
Is that a real person, or is it like
Yes.
a
Yeah, he did the like the hot dog contest challenge or something like last year or 2 years ago. Do you guys remember this? He ate like 1,000 hot dogs in a week or something crazy like that. It go back and I'm sure you can find it on his Twitter.
Yeah,
It's pretty funny.
I've met Mr. Hand. He's fucking real. He's not like Santa Claus, OJ. Okay.
No, I'm just saying though, because again, it could be a burner. I think that
he's a real dude.
No, so the part again, you could be. There's a part right now where it's kind of concerning because as a fan, you can be mad. You're always going to be mad. I think at your team's roster, you could always improve it. And I say this because I'm a huge soccer fan, and my team has won gazillion championships, and it's at Real Madrid. I'm always bitching about. I want
win today. Thank you
huge,
for beating Liverpool.
Yes, humongous win again. But again, we always expect more. So I get that, and I think that's just energy. But the part where it's getting concerning is when you start taking things away from fans that you can control. Okay, so the north side, you hear about ticket prices getting lowered, and then the south side ticket prices are going up. So now you have this battle. I think now with social media, you got people sharing, what they send to fans for season tickets and what did my salesperson tell me on this call. Like, I never thought that I would see that. People are sharing that. People are talking about they raise, the ticket pricing, they raise the parking. Like, people that own season tickets are like actually opening up the Pandora's box, like, of stuff that I don't know about because again, I never really had season tickets, so it doesn't really concern me on that much. But people are sharing like how much they spend, which bless your heart if you're a season ticket holder, like that's amazing. That's a lot of money. But people are getting mad at that. And then you go ahead, and I had no idea that White Sox Fest was this big of a deal. I swear to God. That you go ahead.
You've been there, man. You see how crazy.
No. But I've been there. But I always felt like it was the same. Like I took it for granted how much people really loved it. Like I always thought it was like, oh yeah, like it's like a fan, like a feel good thing. Like, okay, well, if we have it, we have it. If we don't, like people were very pissed about like not having it. Because I also think that it's like one of the only times in which somebody tweeted this at me, where the fans actually get to face you're face to face with the people that you're spending money with in reality. You get the conversations and you're talking. So it's like an appreciation type of thing that we're doing this for you. I think it was a huge mistake, not having it because I think Pedro Grifol would have been great. I think he would have been a great person to have to talk in front of the fans because I really believe that he brings that positivity. Because I think that with Rick Hahn right now, it's very hard to believe him, certain things that he says. People are just like, you're like, when you're like, BS, like, you're like making fun of him now. But I think Grifol, anytime Grifol talks about, says the same thing as Rick Hahn does, but you're like, oh, okay. Like, I like it. Like, it's just something about him, something about his energy. You could have had the new coaches there. You get to see Katz again one more time, but you get the new coaches in there, because they've seen, when you look at the White Sox coaching staff, the guys that had been there for a while. So this was probably one of the biggest turnovers in coaches. And then the guys they brought in, they have great credentials, they're great communicators. So you could have done a version of it. Maybe you don't do all the 3 days, but that one was the one that I think I saw the most people be mad about. But that was a tweet that it was not more of like being just a wild, I'm going to throw anything out there. You could feel that tweet was thoughtful and it was painful. Like he is feeling pain for his team. That goes above winning and losing what we just saw in that tweet.
Let's see that flow chart because he's got a point. Like this is indicative of how a lot of people feel about this organization. Gonzo, like, what do you think with the front office makeup? There's just been so much frustration and it's boiling over. And I hate to like White Sox Twitter is just like, they're passionate. And that's the one thing I will give this fan base is that they are so freaking passionate about this team, about this organization. But like there's problems and they have a lot of complaints right now and rightfully so.
I'm not even gonna tell Gonzo's he's mute.
I'm
Probably
muted.
send him a
Yeah.
text.
No, I'm muted. I know. I want to connect the two here with Hans' tweet that we found. And the second point of his was Sox Fest, which is what Junior was talking about. But I want to back up a little bit. I want to start with Jerry here. And there's only two things with Jerry that I'm like, that irritates me is one, the loyalty he has to his people beyond the time given that they should be allowed. And really that second part is complacency. And I feel that with Sox Fest, I know me and Junior have had this conversation where he doesn't feel that it's something that's liked by the players and whatnot. But I feel at some point, though, if whoever you're talking to, your committee that you have put together, if they're not making you money, then you need to start over. You need to put new people in your committee roles that can come up to you and create a platform where, one, you get the fans involved, and then two, you're making money out of it. And that's one thing, like with Jerry changing over the Bulls front office with Garpax, he brings in AK. It's out of the organization. He brought AK from Denver and brought fresh just air to that establishment. Granted, AK's had no resources really in the beginning there, but in this situation, you need to start fresh. And like the Bears, they just hired their GM in polls. Now what he did was he went out of the organization again and brought in Warren. And in Warren's press conference, he brought up alumni 5 times. Whoever Jerry needs to bring in this Sox front office and this flow chart here, who I don't know how many of these people actually have baseball acumen, probably besides Getz. And I don't know Getz too well, so I mean, Junior can talk about Getz and Kenny Williams Jr. But you need to bring in a fresh front office, especially your committee, because, like, granted, the Bears, they just went from their fan convention to their Bears gala just for the players and just a donation fundraiser, basically. But they're probably going to change that as well into something to bring the fans back into it with Warren being there as their president now. But that's something that I feel that Jerry needs to do, reestablish his own committee, the people, these old geezers probably that are in there that he's been listening to for the past several decades and just telling them the same shit. And that complacency kills. So again, you need to restructure whatever event get these fans involved that just love and breathe the brand that you continue to throw out there. And we know, I know at this point, it's hard to say it, but really for Jerry, it's just a business. And I don't know why you're not going to recreate this structure to get you more money, because you got to invest in yourself. You got to put more money into this to win. I'm not saying he hasn't, because I know with the money that he's allocated to Han hasn't done his best with the efficiency side of it, using his money up. Now, that is also on Jerry for putting Han in that spot to use that money on the baseball front office side of it. However, and this is what we're going to get into with what Junior was talking about with the future here and allocating your extensions. 24 and beyond, there's a lot of cap flexibility. So if you are not so fond on Han, you got to get him out of there. You got to say, fuck this loyalty. You're probably going to have to get rid of Kenny too, which I don't have nothing bad to say about Kenny because he brought a championship to Chicago. But you got to start fresh and really take off from there. And I don't care who you have to bring in. It better be some baseball minds than what this current flow chart is that we see here.
That was Gonzo's fired up rant, in case you couldn't tell. Like
F-bomb?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, wow, Gonzo, you okay? Somebody check up on Gonzo. Whoa, that was.
Hold on. Let me cheer him up a little bit. He's hot and bothered. You like those numbers?
You know what? I love
fans agree with you.
I love the passion. And Gonzo, you can give Kenny, and this is, I think, from the stuff that I know from the inside, people think that he has way more involvement, again, in the big league team than he actually does as a president. I think, again, he oversees a lot of this stuff, but this day-to-day is on Rick and his assistant general manager. One of the things that I've always said, that I've always brought up when you're talking about the front office that you just mentioned is, when was the last time somebody got plucked out of the White Sox front office or minor league system of like, hey, we just went and hired, this new up and coming prospect in the front office, okay, or this young mind of this, Jershel, for example, is a kid. This was named who brings up who's kind of like, there's been some good rumblings about him, great futuristic. Right now, there's a couple. I think Jim Leland's sons with the White Sox. He's kind of bringing some stuff in there. I think those are the things that you need to have in a franchise that's positive. But again, I think that accountability, I think it's funny when you use the word accountability, because I know Pedro loves it. And every time Rick Hahn brings it up, it is like, we need to tell accountability. If I was a player, I'd be like, really? I have to be accountable? Like, who are you accountable to? Like, so again, I think that part is very unique, but it's I think people would like to see more franchise, and even if it is more analytical, like, who are these guys? Can we look them up? Like, what do they bring for value? And I think that's an organizational thing too. Yeah,
the structure from the top, man, that's something I never even thought about. It's a great point. Like, you never hear, oh, we just got this awesome executive or like this up and coming person through the White Sox system. Like, I can't think of a single. Like, the last time that people were, I guess, yeah, Justin Jersley, people are pretty pumped. Chris Getz, like, he's pretty well liked, but like, could you see him getting plucked to go run, any baseball operation?
Well, the myth was Rick Hahn was going to do it like 3 years ago. They told everybody that he was the most sought out guy. And again, that's marketing. And when people are talking about, like, if you're going to like bring Jeff Loonhow, okay,
that's your boy.
You know what?
There's a reason why. Well deserved.
There's a reason why. There's things that he did that were murky that a lot of teams must have been doing it. We saw what Mookie Betts said. But success-wise, a lot of people's feelings got hurt. But when he went to Houston, there was a lot of that. A lot of people that had been sitting on their laurels. When you talked about something really good about money and Sox Fest, there's players that love Sox Fest. My father was one of them. And I think that he's been able to make a lot of money afterwards because of the connection that he has with fans. Aaron Rowan loves Sox Fest. There's players on this roster today that love White Sox Fest. There's players that don't care, but they go. And I think that when you're signing a player, okay, and Jerry used to be very adamant about this. I don't know how he is now. He would ask you how the player was in the community, how the player was with the fans. Again, Ozzie always scored very high on those. And I know guys that I knew that were great players they were no longer here, and somebody else beat them out because they weren't very good at that. And we would tell those guys at the time, and I'll say Freddie Garcia, for example, like his first go-around, didn't do anything. They're like, if it was 50-50, it was like they got let go. When he came back, he did a lot of things. Those connections that you make with the fans there, I think that there's things that you could do and find out who from your current team and who from your alumni enjoy doing it, and then bring them back and have them do different things. Like I feel like sometimes like the White Sox don't know what the alumni want. Okay, what are they willing to do with the fans? What do they want? Like if I told Joe Creedy, hey Joe, we're gonna do a South Side, pub crawl, and we're gonna drink and hit up every bar on the South Side, and it's gonna be like the coolest thing ever. He'd be like, let's do it. Okay. If I told PK that, he'd look at me like, what do you want? Like, Ozzie, what, like seriously? Like, you really, like, if I told Freddie Garcia we're gonna do it, he'd be like, this is the greatest day ever. So, like, but does the front office know that? And that goes beyond, because if they're gonna consider this as a business, you can't say, well, we're losing money on Sox Fest. Well, then why are you losing money? You're a professional sports team. Couldn't you find a way to make money, get better sponsors, like really make that connection? So I feel like now, because there's been so many struggles on the field, we're seeing that people are looking at other parts of the franchise and saying, wait a minute, why are we really doing this? Why are we doing a better job at this? And how come we're not getting this? And it's harder here too, when you have the North Side, okay, and they're rubbing it in your face, and they're having, God, they had like 250 former players show up, and, they were taking selfies in the bathroom, and, everybody was there. And that's the thing, like, you bring back, like, you could bring so many guys back. Like, people just feel special because fan connection is like Slav the other day say Ray Durham was my favorite player growing up. Most people would have never. Ray Durham was a great player, but who in today's generation from the younger kids knows who Ray Durham is? But maybe Slav takes his nephew or a little cousin and says, hey, this used to be my favorite player. That's what you make the connection. I feel like that's what's missing.
Okay, but why don't some of these younger fans know about Ray Durham or who Ray Durham was?
Because we did a horrible job.
That's what I'm saying. Team. But the alumni, to me, it's alarming that they don't want to be involved
because they haven't done that bridge of bringing them back and saying, hey, we have a problem, okay, and dealing with it and saying, what's this problem about, and going in and making it happen, not ignoring it. And now you're seeing the ramifications of the effects of it. Okay, of why are other teams doing this and our guys are not? Okay, why? So like now people are kind of noticing it because again, social media and more exposure. But like again, Slava, when people talk from top to bottom, it's not just top to bottom in the baseball side. It's your organization. Right. It's like where, and the worst part about it is that Houston
marketing,
is so good. Yeah, Houston is
all of it.
Houston is so good. Like we won the world. We both teams went to the World Series during the same year. Yet one team has gone this way, and one team has gone that way. And that's where like the measurement in the last, like, let's say 30 years, where you see like, okay, we both were in the World Series the same year. Yes, the Sox won. That's great. But how come Houston is literally, back on top in every aspect? Money.
That's not necessarily fair. They lost like 100 games, like 5 years in a row.
But is that what it
got
takes?
A first pick overall every single time. Yeah, well, that's a tank rebuild. The White Sox did a full-on rebuild. No, I don't think it's a half. When you trade damn near everybody except for Abreu, that's a full-on rebuild. But it seems like that's just the way of current sports. How many teams can just hang around at that elite level for a long period of time? The St. Louis Cardinals are one of the few. The New England Patriots, those are a few of the organizations that come to mind. It's hard to do in pro sports, but it's doable. You just got to have the right people.
At least your fans wouldn't be complaining. Now, I think that the dangerous part is the White Sox have always been the second place team. People are just realizing that now. They've always been a 500 team, and now I think that the monster is waking up. It's true, though. I grew up with the White Sox. We were always the second, behind Oakland, behind Texas. Like, pick a spot. And I've never seen fans this upset. Like, fans are literally – you know how many times people have come up to us? So the number one thing people say, which is the dumbest thing any fan could say, we're White Sox fans or we're Cub fans. Like, we know you're a fan. You're coming out to say hi to Ozzie. Like, you don't have to announce that you hate or dislike.
I'm a huge fan.
It. No, I don't say that. But the worst is that one's fine. But when they say I'm a Cubs fan, but I still like you, it's like that's okay. You can be a Cubs fan and still like Ozzie. Like, you're cool.
We're just humans.
We're just humans. No, but the part when they talk about now, people would come back and they say, "Hey, I canceled my season tickets," and we're like, "What?" Like, oh, I'm only going to no, dude. That's concerning though. That is if I was a business owner, okay, and that is the feedback that I am getting as an owner and as an operator, and even as not even talking about Jerry, because Jerry's owner. If I was an employee of Jerry at that high level, okay, and this is what my boss asked me, like people are asking former players, or telling them I canceled my season tickets, or I'm not doing this, or I lowered this package. I would be like, my job's in jeopardy. Like, that's how I would feel. And I'm not talking about that everybody does that. We live in the South Side, guys. Like, we are in the suburbs. We're in Homer, Glen, Lamont. That's like the energy.
Whoa, don't give away the locations now.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't care. Like, people just Google us.
I'm in San Diego.
Yeah. No, but people like, you can feel that the energy. That's like what 2 years ago, it was like, we're so positive. We have this team and we're going all the way. And it was like, oh, great, that's awesome. But now it's like, oh, the number one thing I like is the post-game show. And you're like really?
That's sad.
That's sad. That's concerning. That's something that you want to.
It's great if you're the producer of the show.
If you're the producer of the show. But I'm saying as a franchise, though, the toxicity of like the whole thing is just, I think it's a bad spot to be in. And it's very hard to understand because you got teams like Minnesota and the Twins in Minnesota, the Guardians in Cleveland.
So that's four of the same team you just named.
No, yeah, I didn't want to say the
Minnesota.
I didn't want to say
the Guardians of Cleveland and
the Guardians. I didn't want to say the I word and put $5 into the bucket. But no, I'm just saying, like, you see these cities where they're not Chicago and they're not supposed to be big market teams and they're doing big market things, and you hear as a fan saying, "Well, how come I'm not getting this?" Like Milwaukee, dude. Like, what's Milwaukee doing? Like, Milwaukee was like the AAA city at one point. We would consider them that, and now we're like, wait a minute, what's going on? Like, why are they getting players? Why how come we're not getting Ramirez?
Well, no, they're about to lose Corbin Burns because.
Well, I'm just saying that. Well, after those comments that he made, but again, I think that the energy of the fans, I think it would have been a lot better if they faced the music in Sox Fest and just said, "Hey, we messed up. It was a bad year. We're here. We have our new guy. Okay, we want to show Benintendi."
Look at our shiny Andrew Benintendi.
Yeah, look at our shiny and again, like you imagine, like, I'm gonna be honest, like as a baseball follower. Watching Grandal in his videos of him working out, he looks a million times better. I'm not saying he might play better baseball.
You
he
can
looks
see
awesome.
it in his face.
You can
like,
see it in
he
his face.
looks good.
He looks the most fit he has, like in 7 years. Like he looks really good. Like he looks like Dodger era. Like he looks very. How's he going to perform? I don't know, but he looks like he can. So that gives you positivity because when you're around, you're like, oh man, this guy's good. And the other part is this, Slav. I always consider Sox Fest extremely important because it's one of the only times that you can bond with players as a coaching staff and as a team when you're not on the field. It's the first time that you meet players. The first time that an Oscar Colas gets to hang out with Grifol in the area and chat.
Shoot the shit like regular people.
Just shoot stuff like regular people, the coaches. And this is a new staff. So you might go out and grab a dinner with a couple other guys. You might go hang out. That's the part where I don't think they really thought about that. Like Sox Fest, that's a lot of the connections. People ask me all the time, like, oh, how come you know Cease and I met Cease when he was the first year he got traded to the White Sox. He was at Sox Fest. I met him, as this huge prospect, and we hit it off. That's how I met Moncada. Jose Contreras introduced me. This is my guy, and me and Moncada have been, cool ever since. But it was at Sox Fest. It wasn't at any other time. I even think it's more important than spring training when it comes to that because it's like the first time. So I think they lost an opportunity there.
We want to have the pulse of the fans on the Blackout show, which is why we want to bring in some of the fans, some of the viewers, some of the listeners, some of the people on White Sox Twitter that have these complaints or concerns and get them involved in the show, which brings us to Blackout Live.
And we got the R in Ray's Juke Joint. My uncle, Ray. Oh, my God. Fucking honor to have you on the premiere show. Matter of fact, let's get some ticker going. How you doing, Ray?
Yeah, it's not even, it's my honor. Like, why are you even, like this is amazing. Thank you guys for having me on your first show, your premiere show, the Blackout show. Ozzie Jr., Slav, Gonzo, good to see you, you fucking scumbag. Justin, I love you. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, no, no doubt. And, with Bad Guy Radio and what we wanted to do with Ray's Juke Joint, this was the plan. We were supposed to be an umbrella, a big tree branching out to other Sox fans, other people who love baseball the same way as we do. And this is just one of the extensions. So, I mean, like I said, I never thought I'd be on fucking a podcast with Gonzo, Slav, and OJ right now talking to Ozzie, but here we are. Thank you, White Sox.
That was thank you, White. That was beautiful. I enjoyed every minute of that. I appreciate y'all having Ozzie on the show, your first show. I learned so much from him just now. And it was pretty cool. So,
he likes Moncada, right? So
I heard it like 4 times, and this is I don't know what you guys are going to ask me. I don't know what we're going to talk about.
Don't worry about it.
Well, I want to know what microphone you got because your audio is like pristine.
I'm sorry.
Send me the link for the audio, man. Jeez, that mic is. I'm dead serious. That's so good.
I'll hook you up. It was fairly cheap.
I love it.
But man, yeah, I don't know what you guys are going to ask me, but the Moncada thing, I already start messing with one of our other buddies. Mac, he's like, that's Ozzie's boy. Like, man, fuck out of here. He said he likes the guy. That's the guy.
That's the end of it.
That's the end of it. Like, but it is what it is.
So I take it you're a big Moncada fan.
You know what? I'm gonna be 100 with you guys. I'm not a liar. When he came from Boston and he came to the team, I was ecstatic. Looking at the numbers, looking at the fact that he was like the number 2 or 3 prospect in the whole league, number one prospect in the whole league. He came and we saw what he was doing, and then I went and saw. I was living in Columbia, South Carolina at the time, and I was like, shit, dude, let's go. Let me go up to the fucking Charlotte Knights fucking game to see him, and I was like, wow, 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 wow. Look at this guy. This guy is freaking, he's a baseball player. When you see him, matter of fact, the game I saw him play, they were playing fucking what the fuck is his name? He's the quarterback for Florida, but he played baseball.
Tebow.
Winston.
Yeah, so it was the
Oh
Knights
no, that's
against
Florida
Tebow.
State.
It was the Knights against Tebow.
Oh,
Like
man.
it was a pretty crazy night. But to see Yohan up close, I instantly became a fan. I thought that look at Mr. Hanley say he's real.
He's real.
And
He's
it's real, people.
and I fell in love with him. And then when he came to the big club, I was like, holy shit, this guy is going to be amazing. Both sides, he plays a great third base, so on and so forth. And then he lost me. And I was just only because like the hustle, the drive, I didn't see it in his eyes anymore. After 2019, it was just like, what happened to this kid? Like, where is this MVP candidate that was out there killing it in 19, and then he comes back in 20, and you know, I understand it was a COVID year, got it. So 21, and then coming from 20 to 21, we got the music videos and we got all this good stuff, and then I hear things because I'm in the barber world, and I just happen to know, run across his barber every now and again. And so, I hear things and I'm just like,
Look at
okay,
Junior
cool.
laughing.
I mean, I get it. It is what it is. But at the same time, it's about none of that. It's about what he does on the field. Like, he stays at third base, but the aggressiveness at the plate went away. And I was like, what is happening? And it is what it is. I hope he turns the corner. He'll get me back quick because he's a talented motherfucker. But it is what it is.
So Ray, I like what you're the first person, again, that's why I wanted to have fans on. I wish that I could, if I was John Moncada, I would want to listen to that from the fans.
Yeah.
Because you saying that you went and saw him in Charlotte, that you were just so inspired. And now that he doesn't have that look in the eyes, I think that's what he needs to find that in him again. And that's something that you need to either do it for the fans or not. So that makes sense because you're just not saying, oh, he sucks. You're saying he plays well, he's got you back. Like you still believe that he has the talent. So I think that's something that these guys, especially John, really needs to tap into because you saw it. And so it's like, when is it going to get lost? So I commend that. You can definitely critique him. And again, I feel like, when is he going to be accountable? So I definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah, I think he went 2 for 4 that night, and one of them bounced off the wall. Like in like left center. No, it was right center. He hit it from the right side. It was right center, and it bounced off the wall. And when it hit off the bat, it was like, holy shit, that's gone. But it hit off the wall. Charlotte got a nice little wall back there. In the right field. I mean, in the left field, it was a left field wall. So they got a nice little wall right there. It hit off that, but I thought it was gone. But so he had me right then and there. So yeah,
he made minor league baseball look easy. He made AAA look like he was playing against teenagers.
Hey, Slav, I think he went up probably I would say a month after I saw him.
Okay.
Yep. And then
I mean, I remember on the show the team sucked. So all we were doing was showing minor league highlights on the pregame show and the postgame show. And it was like every day, Moncada 357 average, double, walk, extra base hit, home run, RBI, stolen base, great play at, I think at the time he was at second in the minors.
Second.
Yeah. And then it was like the next day, 361 average. Then the next day, 379. I'm like, damn, this guy's just like, and Robert did the same thing. Like they made minor league baseball look so easy. But it was funny that you said he lost that aggressiveness. They coached it out of him because at first he was walking only and everyone was like, oh, well, why isn't he swinging? Blah, blah, blah. And he was taking all those looking strikeouts. And everybody said, take the bat off your shoulder, swing the bat. The next season is when he had that best season where he was aggressive and early in the count, he would look for a location, look for a pitch and hit it hard. That's not necessarily his fault. What's happened since then, to me, that's the biggest question.
Yeah. And I think that, you say he's coached it out of him. I think that's where, so my story is that like, I'm a baseball fan. Like I watch the game for just to watch the game and enjoy the actual game of baseball, right? So then, last year, starting the Spaces, watching the game with the fellas, I learned so much, and I really became a hybrid like of the game. So I don't know if the guys told you, but I just started running the space during the White Sox game. We sit there and we'll watch the whole game together and talk about it live, and I learned so freaking much from Justin, from Gonzo, from other guys, whoever decides to come into space or whatever while we're watching the game. And I became a hybrid of the numbers as far as analytical part of it, because I was a dummy with that, but I learned like how it works, right? But then take that with my old school way of saying, oh, hit the ball hard and run and throw, right? I brought that together, right? So then you say coach it out of them, looking at where Pedro comes from, right? Like that's his brand. So, and then you hear the things he's saying. He's like, we're gonna play right, we're gonna do whatever. Then you see the drills being run over and over again. It's, for me, the coaching and him mentioning Moncada, returning his texts and being available and whatever. There was a point in time where somebody had to go to Florida to find Yoan Moncada and see what he was doing. We're not getting that this time. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that's like.
So you think he's bought in?
I think he's bought in. I think it's night and day. I think he's going to be. I think if we can get, I don't know. I told Justin, if we can get 270, 20 home runs out of Yoan, it's a success. Like legit.
Well, if he's still drawing walks, like what's his on base for him to be successful?
Well, I think on base, 340,
350.
To me, if he's hitting 270, he's got to be 350 on base or
350 on base or higher. I mean, yeah. I mean, so I was thinking more like, he swings away a lot. So, maybe they take that out of him, because who knows how they're going to coach him into batting this year. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I just think that I don't know how it froze. That's crazy.
You look great though.
Oh, thank you. But that's crazy. I'm plugged in, which is nuts. All right, let me see if I can.
Real quick, I'm gonna announce the chat for our giveaway question, and our question is: what is your favorite Sox player and moment during the Ozzie era? We're gonna ask this question to Ray coming up, but the four of us are gonna pick one lucky winner out of this chat to send a Ozzie signed photo giveaway to. So please send us your comments. We'll share them and listen to Ray's answer to this question as well as he comes back here to us.
Yeah,
and
it's
Ray?
crazy.
Cool.
Well, I just want to say I wasted the opportunity to talk about the Sox legend Nick Swisher.
Jesus.
We got to take the opportunity. Like, Slop, why aren't we discussing White Sox legend Yermin Mercedes on the show? Do we like the White Sox? Do we appreciate history?
As a legend, I'm just saying as a legend, like the German. I'm gonna be honest, the Germinator probably had the best 2 months of any White Sox ever, including the guy that he was replacing. It was like
3 weeks.
3 weeks. But was it too much? Was it just inflated? The series in Anaheim.
Well, yeah, he did so good those first two series that his numbers just stayed really good for a while as he got worse.
Yeah, no, good point. But I'm saying, but I think that I think that he was a perfect example of like excitement with no accountability of like, we just went and gave him the praise and the accolades of like, this guy's the best player ever. And like, it's just, that's the fear of that. Like, they do that so quick now. I don't know if it's just baseball in general or just White Sox fans. That's concerning when it comes to that. That's why I don't understand the Germinator and the obsession with anybody else. Like Nick Swisher played a full year. Like Nick Swisher contributed, he was brought here as like somebody that was very promising and whatnot. I don't put those two in the same category. Anytime anybody says Germinator, like the legend of Germinator, like Daniel Palka is on my list higher of contributing White Sox players into Germinator. I'm sorry.
I mean,
he played more.
Palka
hit 24.
Remember when he was like the best pinch hitter in Major League Baseball?
He was. He looked like I bet stairs.
If Daniel Palka is my guy. The year that he had when he came off, the year that he had after that, I think he had like the 24 bombs, and he went from like being like a pinch hitter to like an everyday player. I was like, I hope they give him the chance to play everyday big leagues. I think he's ready, and they did. And again, it didn't turn out the way he was, but I thought that he was at that level. Same thing with Diane Visadio. So I think that back then fans were more like, I'm going to ask for 2 or 3 years. Had Daniel Palka played today, they'd be like, we want a statue in left field, and that's the reality of it. Like, that's how crazy Sox fans are right now. They're so hungry for success that any little thing is like, man, this is the greatest thing ever. It's like, whoa, calm down. It's like, it's a marathon.
Yeah,
Chill.
Speaking of fans, we got another fan here too. Apparently Billy Hamilton's going to lead us to a World Series.
Look
right,
at that.
Tom?
That's chemistry, boys. That is chemistry. Hey, the Greyhound in 2021. Sorry, Ozzie Sr. calls him the Greyhound. So
he's by the way, but you know what though? Billy Hamilton cannot be hated on because when Billy was there, they won 90 plus games.
Hey, and he played
without
his
Billy, they did
ass off.
And maybe he brings the energy. And this is the part that's interesting. Billy Hamilton is a player, and this is a fact because I've asked multiple people. I know people that have played with Billy, and I've met Billy, and he does give you that vibe and energy. There's players that bring other players together because he is the center of attention. That everybody just comes to you either because you're funny, you're a clown, you're just that main guy, the center of attraction. Billy Hamilton, by the way, it has nothing to do with how good you are or how old you are.
That's
it's
a
just like an
culture
attraction.
guy.
It's a culture.
And that's why they like Andrews too.
And that's why so there's guys that get attracted. Just the opposite. You might be the nicest guy ever and an amazing player, and you just give off the wrong vibe. I've seen both happen. Maybe Billy is that guy that he is comfortable with telling Tia, hey man, you messed up. And then he's comfortable telling that the same thing to Grandal and saying the same thing to the worst thing that you can have in a clubhouse is like high school. Like the dorks sit here, the jocks.
Segregation and gossip.
Segregation. And then there's no one that crosses. You need guys that cross over. The guys that are just like friends with multiple guys, like good teammates. And believe it or not, I really think that Billy Hamilton, I put it this way. I got 2 friends on 2 sides. I got Moncada and I got Cease. Like they're cool, but it's like they're not like super close. But they're both cool with Billy Hamilton. That tells me that like Billy's someone that's like cool with multiple people. He's going to be cool with the staff. He's going to be cool with the trainer. So he's a guy that has everybody trusts. And when it's time to get serious, he can be someone that can step in and players are going to trust. That's leadership. Leadership is not how old you are or how much you talk or how much production you have. It's like if you're having a bad day or you're having a really bad time, you walk into that lobby and you feel horrible. It's that Billy's going to be comfortable enough to go up and say, hey man, pick your head up. That's really hard, man. Going up to someone like Tim Anderson, having a really bad day, you might not feel comfortable doing that. I wouldn't. Or going to a big name like Lynn and say, hey man, you got this, or being able to celebrate it. That's a very unique thing to do. And Billy, you know what? He might have that. I got to give it to him.
I do. I mean, like that tweet is obviously in jest. I hope he doesn't have 600 at bats this year. If he does, it's either because things went really, really well for him or very, very poorly for the rest of the team. I do think though, and I agree 1,000%. To me, like every time I've seen Billy Hamilton in the field, in the White Sox clubhouse, in the dugout, he's smiling. He's with a bunch of dudes. Like he strikes me as one of those guys that's just a culture changer, and like everybody likes him. And you said, has the respect of everybody else. And since Andrews came back 2 days ago, like all the comments have been about how he is, this well-respected veteran, plays the game the right way. Like he's the type of guy you want in the clubhouse. Not that other guys are bad clubhouse guys or cancers, but those are the guys that uplift everyone and kind of transcend, like you said, those little segregated groups. But
one second, Billy's never been the main guy. It's hard when you're down in a game and you're like a main guy to TA to go up and be in the top step and you're like 0 for 5. That's a job for Billy. And Billy might help this team more by being around and making other guys better than getting 600 at bats. That's where
I think they need to find a way to get him on the roster.
Correct. And
it doesn't mean he has to play every day, but
Correct.
They need to find a way to get him on the roster.
That's Leary's roster spot.
Influential.
That's Leary's roster spot because you don't need Leary because he's flexible in the outfield and infield. You got Romy Gonzalez coming off the bench, so that's your infield taken care of. You got Billy Hamilton for the outfield. Like Billy's a switch hitter too, so you got the roster flexibility there too.
So who's Romy Gonzalez hitting? So who's Romy hitting for? Or who's
I
Romy
mean,
running
just
for?
to come off the bench, what if Andrews or TA needs a day?
That's what I'm saying, though. So I really think that Billy's competing with Romy, essentially for the last spot.
I mean, Billy could be competing with Sheets. He could be
Correct.
competing with Romy or Berger.
Yeah.
Like we don't know exactly what Pedro
Yeah, I
Grifol
agree.
is thinking for those last couple roster spots. But Ray, he's back.
Yes, I'm back.
All right,
Yeah, I don't
good.
know why I froze up. So then I started
good, man.
panicking. I was like, and I just cut the computer off.
It was
You know,
Moncada. Moncada cut it off. He said, "I've had enough."
Is that what it is? Hey, just
F
let
this
them know.
guy.
I'm sorry, bro. I gotta be me. I gotta tell the truth. I that's just one thing I do. But y'all was talking about Billy Hamilton, like, man, that's crazy. I did just don't give up on Gavin Sheets. That's my thing. I said the same thing about Raylo, and look where Raylo is. Gavin Sheets, that kid has something, and I don't know if he's a everyday outfielder, but that bat when he's on, shit.
Is he
You could
hitting
platoon
30
him.
home runs?
Huh?
Is he going to hit 30 home runs?
I don't know if he's going to hit 30.
No, he would if Gavin Sheets
So
played
you're
every
just gonna
single
be
day at the
position.
DH. No, if Gavin Sheets played every day at the DH spot, Gavin Sheets would go deep 30 times. He might hit 0-0-0, but he has the power to go deep 30.
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
30
We're
times.
just talking about just power wise. Like he is probably, right behind. Like he's probably number 2 after Eloy. Just straight power.
Like raw power.
I mean, raw power. Eloy, him, and then probably Yaz.
I mean, Robert. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Andrew's not on that top 5. TA might have more pop than him.
Yeah.
Don't show us the poll.
So Ozzie, am I getting a hint of you not really on the Andrew Vaughn train?
No. I like the Andrew Vaughn thing. I think that he doesn't. I think that he's more John Olerud than he is Frank Thomas. I think he's not a
great comparison.
I don't think that he's a
That's
power
a
guy. I think that he could be a doubles hitter. And when you see Gavin Sheets and you see him in the cage, he is a power hitter. Meaning, if you put him in the lineup every day at the DH spot, he's Fremio Reyes. Okay, he might not help you a lot because he's striking out a lot and his defense is a little bit below average. But when he hits it, it's going deep. Like he's got power. So that's his main thing. Andrew's a way better hitter, way more. But I see things in Sheets that if he figures it out, and that happens with power hitters, because you just have to hit for power and just walk a little bit. He's got a baseball background, acumen. He hits the ball the other way. So that one, I'm like, if the White Sox didn't have the DH situation, like they didn't have to have Eloy DH, he would be a perfect fit, for that spot. But Eloy, obviously, you want to get him off the outfield. But that the power numbers are Andrew Vaughn. I don't see it. I think he's like a John Olerud gap hitter who can develop into power, kind of like Rafael Palmeiro did. I don't know how much Rafi might have developed without the enhancement. So that's where I'm like 50-50 on. But I think like a John Olerud, like he could be a really good John Olerud doubles guy. I just don't see him as a raw power hitter. I don't.
So let me ask you this, OJ. John Olerud had 200 hits twice in his career. He's hit over 350 both those years. Do you see Andrew Vaughn scratching a 350 average?
I think Andrew.
The game's not the same.
By the way, the game's not the same. That's a very high average. But I can see Andrew Vaughn being close to hit. I can see Andrew Vaughn being closer to hitting 300 and closer to hitting 50 doubles, which I think is amazing, than hitting 30 home runs.
He was at 306 at the All-Star break.
Yeah,
right?
he's a 300 hitter. He's a 300 hitter in an era where nobody hits 300. So like his 306 right now is like 330 in the 1980s because the averages. So that's what I'm saying. His at bats are so good. I wish that Andrew Vaughn, like Walter Rainiac, I said, what do you think about Andrew Vaughn? He's a former White Sox hitting coach. I love the kid. Look at his swing. Look at his head. He has no training in the minor leagues. He's going to compete. He doesn't get beat by the fastball. You could be a great hitter and not have to be a power hitter. Frank Thomas was a great hitter. He's just built like a behemoth, and that's why the ball would go, home run. But he didn't swing like a power hitter. That's a different monster. Miguel Cabrera doesn't swing like a power hitter. Andrew Vaughn could become that guy. A singles hitter that becomes doubles, that eventually the ball carries because the cell's not that huge, guaranteed rate. But I don't see him as Andrew Sheets is just a power hitter. Sheets is just like, he'll just hit the ball 700 feet. That's where I see the difference.
Can I ask a question though to the group? I don't care. No.
Go ahead.
So we're talking about Andrew Vaughn, and I heard you guys earlier talking about coaching and things of that nature. We brought up Mendocino, right? So having Andrew Vaughn get pushed real fast into the big league without all the minor league, whatever. He wasn't with Mr. Johnson down in Charlotte a long time, so on and so forth. Do you think that his development changed from him being a slugger coming out of college when he got to us, and then once again we come back and we go to Menachino, who says fuck the home run, and he hears that, and so he's not hitting for the home run. Well, now we may be able to say, hey, Vaughn, hit that motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I think you're 100% correct. This is a difference. You know why? When you're in the minor leagues, Andrew Vaughn would have been the best player by like more than anybody. So he's developing at his own pace. Winning and losing doesn't really count in the minor leagues. No one's going to fire Andrew Vaughn as a prospect. So he might just be like, I feel more comfortable, and he might be taking more aggressive swings where he's like not worried as an average. Comes to the big leagues, comes in the middle of a pennant race.
Right.
You know, in the window era, everyone's telling everyone around you is like, you have to win. And he's like, I'm learning on the fly. I might just want to get a couple hits. Like I might slow down in my development of power.
Remember, he barely had any minor.
Yeah, he had no. Yeah, so I could totally see
like,
that. Yeah, I could totally see that. Like of him having to become better, more of a singles hitter. Like I'm going to put the ball in play because I don't want to hit 150 and lose. So I'll have to do everything to. And this is the other thing. From his experience of where he was in college, so where he got to the big leagues, competition wise, it might just be night and day. Where he hasn't been able to develop that power swing yet as consistent as possible. So you're surviving. It's like work. You know, you don't know what you sign up for until you get it there, and you might have to like just figure out a way to do it. And he might be at that point where his development could develop. He could, because he might get a little bit now at first base. He could get stronger. He could get bigger. I love his swing. His swing's great. He's got a beautiful swing. I don't see a hole in it, but I think that eventually if he becomes that gaps hitter, more home runs are going to go for sure. But a natural power hitter, I'm just going to swing. I don't see Andrew Vaughn striking out 230 times and hitting 200 ever in his career just to hit 40 home runs.
I got you, Michael. I got your Andrew Vaughn comparison. His career, I'm looking at this Baseball Reference page right now. Michael Young.
Ooh.
That's a good pick.
5 or 6 seasons.
That's too many good. That's too many hits. I don't think Vaughn got 190 hits in him.
I think he does. If he plays 150 games, he absolutely does.
I think he does.
Absolutely, yeah.
More than home runs. I think he's got more of that than 30 home runs.
But Michael Young's career high in homers, 24. He had 200 RBI seasons, bunch of seasons in the 90s. Obviously, he played with some really good teams. Career OPS just under 800. Doubles, 35, 40, 52, 36, 36, 41. That's the type of guy that I think Andrew Vaughn is going to become. And I'm going to tweet it out. I'm going to do a poll, or we can talk about it on the next one. If Andrew Vaughn's career is exactly what Michael Young's was from production standpoint, take the position aside, is that a success? To me, It's an absolute yes.
Yes.
Not the White Sox fans. They're going to be mad.
I feel like because a lot of White Sox fans would look at it and go,
they want 400 home runs because that's what they want. It's the same problem with Moncada, okay? They want Moncada to hit 30 home runs because they think Robin Ventura and Joe Creedy were power hitters. They did not hit 30 home runs every single year. They had flashes of 30 home runs. Look up how many times Joe Creedy hit 30 home runs and how many times Robin hit it. So, dude, 30 home runs is a lot of home runs in the big leagues. So, again, he hasn't performed to where he's at, but they see him as like this.
Creedy hit 30 one time, 30 on the nose.
Correct. That's 30 is a lot, man. So if you can get in that mix of like 23 to 25-ish, but you add 30 doubles and you can get the hits and lower the strike, that's a success at the level of defense where they're playing. Here's the thing. Andrew Vaughn, with all due respect to Abreu, he was a great first baseman. I don't think Andrew's going to have any problem playing that position because even when he got drafted and played, that's his natural spot. I think he's a very good first baseman. So what they bring to that level of production, you don't need somebody to hit 40 home runs. Like Big Hurt, bless his heart, he had to drop 40. Why? His glove wasn't that great. So you have to give and take. If Andrew Vaughn can have a mix of that combined, it will be okay if he has Michael Young.
Now, Slav, Michael Young is one of my favorite players. I love watching him with the Rangers. I was actually talking to Jeff Fry on Bad Guy Radio about him. And the one thing that Andrew Vaughn has in common with Michael Young, the player, he always goes to the plate with a plan. He's always prepared, and
He's a
that's
professional
strange.
hitter.
Yeah, that's strange for a guy like Andrew Vaughn who has no experience whatsoever. What he's seeing, how is he adjusting on the fly to many different pitchers,
There's
many
no
different
adjustment.
sequences? There is no adjustment.
No, I
That's
think
his
that's
MO.
that's how he's wired. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think there's a reason he won the Golden Spikes Award. There's a reason he was, best hitter in college baseball by a mile. His career outstanding. There's a reason he was the 3rd overall pick. It was a safe pick, but it doesn't mean like safe in the negative way. Like Lance Broadway was supposed to be a safe pick, and what happened to him, right? Like he was a safe pick in the fact that you knew, like, mentally and physically, like, you're getting something that's pretty close to a finished product. That's why, to me, like, I don't think there needed to be a ton of development. Now, that's a lot of credit to him, and obviously credit to the White Sox. If his career pans out like we think it will, that's an absolute hit. Because how many first-round picks never make it to the big leagues or never amount to anything?
So what do you guys look at when you look at Andrew Vaughn? Are you looking at advanced stats, or are you looking at what he did for the last 2 years?
Well, I isolate one. Well, two stats. One is hard hit percentage and
Okay.
RBI. Like
Okay.
Andrew Vaughn had 17 home runs last year. That could be very well a 45 to 60 RBI season for most
But the
guys.
coach telling him don't hit the motherfucking home run.
So how is Andrew Vaughn sniffing out these extra runs? What does Andrew Vaughn do to plate 1 or 2 extra runs without necessarily a hit or one of those doubles that you guys
He
mentioned?
hits the ball hard.
He hits the ball hard and he stays closed at the plate, so he doesn't turn the head of the bat over.
That's what I'm
So
trying to
that
say.
keeps your line
Like,
drives
he
in
has
play
he
all
has
the time.
basically a crazy barrel rate. You know what I mean? Like the guy doesn't miss shit. That's why when I made my lineup today or yesterday, whatever day I did my lineup, what I saw as far as what I'm thinking of, I had him at 2. And I thought, like, my reasoning is Andrew Vaughn with TA leading off, who, let's just say TA gets on base. What guy do I want right behind TA to ensure that TA stays a threat on the base, right? The pitcher has to throw him fastballs because TA is a threat on the bases. And that batter is disciplined enough, that number 2 batter is disciplined enough to take the pitches he doesn't like and hit the ones that he likes hard, right? To keep TA moving around the bases. So just imagine a scenario. It's opening day, right? And TA gets on. You bring Vaughn up, right? And he sees first pitch and he takes it and it's a ball, right? And then next pitch is a fastball. Then the next pitch is an off-speed pitch.
I don't think you're getting past that first fastball.
No,
to be honest with you.
but TA takes off. He takes the base. Now we're at a 2-1 count, right? We're at a 2-1 count. Andrew Vaughn with a 2-1 count with TA on second. I'll take that every day of the week because last year I saw TA standing on first base way too fucking much. Let
me tell you why I would do Benintendi instead.
Okay.
Because that's who I personally have like penciled in as the number 2 spot. I think Vaughn can be that guy, but if in an ideal world, he's your number 3 hitter because he should be your best hitter because he has those tools. Benintendi, in that same scenario, Benintendi, track record, putting the ball in play, smarts, knows Grifol. Even if he's pulling it to the right side and TA's on second, you're getting him over for sure. Whereas as much as I love Vaughn's approach, he's always up the middle, opposite field, and he stays that way. And like when Eloy is good, that's his approach. Up the middle, opposite field. He's hitting bombs over the right center field fence. That's when he's like peak Eloy. Benintendi, I think, has the track record and to scouting departments around baseball, I think he's maybe a little bit more of a concern than Vaughn is right now. Now, that's not to say by June, that's not the case. But to me, that's why I think Benintendi, at least to start, makes more sense in that way.
I saw somebody else say Benintendi, and I thought about it. I was like, you know what? Bringing him up, left-hand bat right there.
Yeah, righty-lefty balance.
Benny hitting. I got Benintendi. That could be the number 1 hitter, number 1 spot in the lineup. I think TA needs to be moved. No one wants to do it. I don't think he's never scored 100 runs. He needs to drive in runs. I think you put Tim Anderson with runners in scoring position. He will drive 90 plus runs.
Oh yeah.
I think he's a better driver than an actual scorer. He's never scored 100 runs with a guy who drove 100 runs.
That's not
every single
necessarily
year.
his fault entirely.
Correct.
I got eviscerated for saying that TA can up his average and hit more home runs.
And also this, if he had a baseball acumen, and again, this is nothing against TA. He's not a baseball mind. He's not.
He's an athlete. He's just
a freak athlete.
Yeah.
But amongst baseball circles, when you see his ability, you're like, why does this guy want to lead off? It's one more at bat. This guy won the batting title leading off. You're getting one more at bat than everybody else usually. So you do the math. That's a lot of at bats on top of it.
I kind of like where you're going with that, Ozzie, because like I said, he's never been asked to hit for anything other than leadoff.
He can hit third. He can hit third.
Yeah.
He can hit fourth. He can hit fifth. He could do all that. And him in a driving run situation, when he comes up with runners in scoring position, you compared his runs driven in and opportunities. Look at TA's opportunities of RBIs to opportunities compared to him being able to score. And if TA goes and steals 50 bases, that's a different story. But he does not move as well. I feel like he feels more comfortable with his bat now. Again, with the injuries, guys, his hands. Again, we got the bigger base, which is a good thing. But if TA is a pure hitter, you guess what? You guys think you guys have seen TA swagger? If TA starts driving in 70, 80 plus runs, and he starts getting in that conversation of the Byron Buxtons of the world, and like the big, because again, TA can make leadoff money, but when you start getting in that 3, 4, 5 hole, and you start thinking about, oh my God, I can really make that really big money. Okay, I'm making that bets that now this guy can see his potential. That's where he should be shooting. He can do leadoff and be completely fine and have a great major league career, and he'll be awesome. If TA goes in and wants to take it to that next level, again, the Sox might not be able to afford him at that point, but he can definitely do some damage in those positions. More than anybody, because I think he's a better hitter than all those guys at this moment. Today, he is better than Pantera. He's not better than Hilo, but he's better than Pantera. Shows more maturity.
I never thought about it that way.
But he's way better than all those guys.
I never thought about it that way, Junior. And
mature-wise.
That's pretty fucking.
This guy's a batting champion. No one cares about the batting champion now, but he's been a batting champion already. He's not. It's not potential. He's like, I've done it. Okay, I've done it.
Since 2019, number 1 batting average in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, he's done it, and that's hard, man. Especially nowadays with the average thing. He's had injuries, but he's a leadoff guy. You know, the guys around him have not been great all the time. I really think that he is one of the guys with the highest ceiling, and people are just like penciling him in like he just hit his peak. Like this guy could really, out of all the White Sox roster guys, I think he's got the most potential. Him and Hilo just being like just ridiculously like just off the charts good because of the potential that he has, because of what he's already accomplished.
And that's just on the batting side. So I mean,
glove side, he's gotten better. I don't think unless he goes regresses on the glove side. 4 years ago, I said send him to the outfield. I was the first one that said he needs to go to center field, but he's improved so much. He's not a liability anymore. He's gotten smarter baseball wise, acumen wise, like meaning like when not to make the play or the force to play out. And again, every defender goes through their moments where they make errors. And again, people tend to think that he's horrible because he'll make a couple a week. Like when he's bad, he'll make like 2, 3, or 4 like in a very short span. But I think his defense has gotten way better and it's going to keep improving. He is a White Sox shortstop. No questions asked.
And then Junior just really put out there that swagger. And we got swagger to give. And our question to the chat was, what is your favorite Sox player and moment during the Ozzie era? Ray, we're going to ask you that question, and then we're going to give out our giveaways out there to the winners. So stay tuned here in a couple seconds because we're going to get to that right after Ray's answer.
So my answer to the question is real easy. Is Jermaine Dye. That was my favorite player during the Ozzie era. Scotty Paz came a close second, but it's Jermaine Dye. And then my favorite moment, I was in Iraq. I was watching the World Series in Iraq on a 21-inch TV like this, right? And I'm watching this freaking White Sox game and I'm losing my fucking mind. It's 3 a.m, guys, because of the time difference. And I see, you know, Bobby Jenks comes out and I'm just like, holy shit, we're finna win the World Series. It's over. We're finna win the World Series. And I'm geeked. And we win that motherfucker. And I run outside. I wake everybody up in the what we call pods. I'm throwing rocks in the air. I'm throwing rocks at the fucking trailers where people are sleeping. The fucking Sox won the World Series. So I mean, I can't even beat that. That's just like that's what it was. Like it's 3 a.m. I'm losing my fucking mind because I'm watching my White Sox win the fucking World Series. So that's my era. That's my moment. And Jermaine Dye. He's in Gucci. Holy shit, I love it, Gucci. And a rebate. But anyway, but it's Jermaine Dye.
That's
a hell of
amazing.
a
That's probably
story.
probably one of the best. That's probably one of the best stories. That's one that I'm probably going to bring up with the boys. That was really good. One of the most random places that you can watch a celebration.
Yeah, I watched it. I was in my trailer. Me and my battle buddy, my friend. We were we bunked together. Basically the whole time we were in Iraq, and we had a small TV, and we have 4 channels. We have 4 channels in Iraq, maybe 6 at the time. Either way, it's AFN and Armed Forces Network, and they show whatever's on, which is hot as far as sports, and I'm glued to the TV and I'm watching. It was amazing. It was fucking amazing.
That's amazing. I gotta tell Ozzie that. So that's the part where this is a real fan. Like he gets that. That's a moment that you'll never forget. I'm never gonna forget. I just heard this story. That's amazing. And you picked a good one. Jermaine Dye, probably one of the most underrated players to ever wear a White Sox uniform.
I mean, on my birthday this year, I had the honor to go to a game on my birthday, and my mother, shit, bless her heart, she had my Jermaine Dye jersey for probably 11 years. I thought I lost it. Like legit. I thought I lost it, and she was like, I know you're ready to go to the game. Justin was with me, and she was like, I found this jersey, and I was like, holy shit, it's my Jermaine Dye jersey. So I tweeted it out, and Jermaine was like, you look good in that, and that was basically it made my birthday
the man almost passed out.
I did, and that was my guy. Yeah,
love it.
Yeah.
All right, so after that story, we've got 4 winners here for the giveaways for signed photos of Ozzie. First one, and I'm going to roll through these comments because there's a lot of comments here.
Shout out to everyone that's stuck around with us for the whole show or most of the show and commented. We appreciate it.
We're almost at 3 hours.
And we can go for like 3 more easy.
Easily.
All right, our first one was lucky number winner here. Number 1 will be Z Witter. Z Wordion 77. His comment here was Ozzie, favorite player growing up, and now favorite interview. Good stuff, guys. Z Witter is our 1 winner, and now we're gonna go with another one here. Let me find this next one here. Scroll down here.
Sweet Witter, I said earlier that Magli Ordonez, I completely forgot about Jermaine, like who's their last right fielder. I was like, Sweet Witter.
Yeah, it was Jermaine Dye. I heard when you said that, I was like, Jermaine Dye.
Our second winner is our man here, Vision. He went with the big hurt.
Oh, Dre's a winner.
And,
Dre's a winner.
Moment would be when Ozzie cursed out Joe West. We've had a lot of.
Which time?
it was that one.
Was it the Burrow? Was it the Burley
this
kickoff?
one.
Oh, this one?
Yeah. Fuck out of here. Fuck. I hate it.
And shout out to Vision for being here like the entire show.
Yeah, he has.
That's amazing. I appreciate it.
He's another.
That's one of the homies from Bad Guy Radio, Slav. He a triple OG.
love.
I can't forget Z Witter. He did have this comment that we used for Ozzie earlier in the show when we were talking about leadership. So he had 2 good comments with Dre's. And then our third lucky winner, another guy that's been in the chat for all show, basically has been Juan Diego Montenegro. He had his favorite, also like Dre, was Frank Thomas, and his favorite moment was October 7th of 05 on my birthday. El Duque relief with bases loaded, no outs in Boston, which we have that in our intro, our show intro. We have the El Duque bases loaded moment there. And
AJ's story, by the way, AJ's story talking about like going through the counts against Johnny Damon. Amazing story to hear. I'm sure it's out there on YouTube or some podcast somewhere. But like,
it's an amazing,
incredible story.
Listen to it, yeah. And I know Justin was in anguish during that series.
He was all right. I'm still a
That
white.
was my highlight. That was a highlight of my life.
Life.
Translating. No translation.
Yeah.
So the whole time I'm thinking, I'm like, I hope he's not the one that blows it because I'm gonna have to translate when he was doing
To
it.
the media,
Like,
yeah.
well, it was Marte and then it was Oduke, and I was like, Latino back to back. Like this is gonna be, but it was awesome.
Bring in Palit. Bring in
Yeah,
Cliff
I was
Palit.
like, bring in somebody else to blow it. I don't want to have. I don't want to. I don't want to give
any
this
doubt
message.
though. Was there any doubt, Ozzie, while you was calling that? Was there any doubt?
Well, number one, it's his fault that he was in that situation. Number one, so let's
Okay.
just put that one out there. He couldn't get warm enough. Again, he was kind of making a starter into a reliever.
Mhm.
I doubt many guys would even do that today because of the risk of injury. So he was trying to get himself warmed up. Marte had to start the inning, got himself in trouble, got squeezed a little bit there by the ump. A couple borderline calls. So they say, you know what? That's it. Basically, I think Marte's going to give it up, and he brought it in. I think that if anyone, you need to have. I think that combination, people don't realize El Duque and AJ and what had transpired throughout the year between them. Just two really hardcore competitors. They had gone at it a couple times. One point, AJ said, "Do I punch him or do I punch the translator?" Just trying to be funny and beat us smart. Because El Duque is very hard, man. El Duque, he has like 15 pitches. He'll be like a guy like at the moment of like just call anything. And for them in the beginning of the year where they had all this tussle, like just trying to get to know each other and Cooper being in the middle of it, kind of like making them work together to be in the playoffs in a moment where the only way that this is going to work is if they trust each other because they don't want to throw signs because there's runner in every position. And AJ and Del Duque has to be comfortable enough to throw AJ anything that he calls because there could be a pass ball. And that's another thing that you don't want.
Wow.
So for them to be able to communicate that and AJ just said, throw it, like not even he threw something that wasn't even in the system to call. Like AJ just went, and they went through that whole thing, not having practice that are done. That's trust. So in that moment of that game and I think it took AJ to be the catcher, Duque, that trust and that ability to have that. Because anybody else, I think, would have been just melting, not only the pitcher, but the catcher. Because you're like catching, you're like, I got bases loaded. I can't give anything hang because I don't want the game to get really crazy, but I don't want to throw anything on the ground and let's be honest, AJ's not known to being the greatest defensive catcher. So I'm sure that, if I was him, that would come into play, but it didn't. At that moment, it was perfect. So, and that's probably the World Series moment with me on the bench, which you tend not to get emotional. That's probably the most intense I was. And then everybody was like, oh my God. Like when they came after that, I think like highest peak of like, oh, I think we can go the whole way. That was one of them. Like we just went bases loaded in Boston, defending champions, El Duque from the bullpen. Like, oh my God, like this is after that game, guys were like, we're pumped. Like I think we can definitely take these guys on and move on. So that was a good one. One I don't think I'll ever see again.
Wow.
That was by the way, the other guys that were hitting too. It wasn't like it was Joe Schmo walking off. It was like, if you look at those guys' stats in that moment in their careers, it was like the who's who of the Boston Red Sox lineup.
Johnny Damon was the last hitter.
Yeah, Damon's the only one I can't remember the first two guys.
I bet Justin knows.
That's a part of my life I put behind me. Congratulations to the fucking White Sox. Can we move on, please?
Guys, we got one more winner, right?
Yeah, the last winner is the hero himself, our hero of the game that the White Sox had presented, and it is Ray the Barber with that amazing story in Iraq. Really, truly,
yes, he can win.
Story.
Yes, he can win.
And I respect it. I respect the service of Ray and everybody that serves our country, whether it's overseas or here at home. Thank you, Ray. Thank you for coming on with us.
It was some rough years for the 20 plus years I was in. So,
Wow, bless your heart, man. Talk about you were talking about career like, oh, baseball's hard. That's hard.
Yeah. I did three tours in Iraq, one Bosnia tour, one Kosovo tour.
Oh
man. Don't get me started.
Yeah,
I'm Serbian, man.
Yeah. Well,
Kosovo breaks my heart, man.
I was all up in all those. I was up in all those. Like that was just it was rough. It was rough.
The White Sox need to win for this guy. Forget Rick Hahn and everybody else. This guy, like if anyone needs to win. Now, by the way, when Cleveland loses to the White Sox, the only happiness that I'll have in my heart, Justin, is because this gentleman will get a W. It's not going to be because of you.
Yeah.
Greg, have you ever been honored at a Sox game?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good.
I did last year. I had the honor to do the whole thing with friends and family. So they did the hero of the game. Gonzo had the video. and it was pretty cool. Like I've never had that experience, and it was like it's like the cameras in your face, and then you're on the big screen, and then people are like clapping. I'm just like, all right, hey, how you guys doing? I was just like,
Isn't it awkward to be on camera just smiling?
It is,
like,
but at the same time, I just felt like I felt home because the people are really loving you. And I'm just like, hey, and I'm looking at the people that are close to me. I'm doing high fives, so on and so forth. Like I've never had that experience till last year, and I went to like 4 or 5 games last year. So, you know,
were they winning when they happened? Because the worst thing's got to be
dude,
like,
that game that was probably one of the best games.
Oh, that's even better
because they were down by 3 was it the 8th inning, Justin?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we came all the way back that day too.
So Ozzie's favorite, one of Ozzie's favorite things during the game. No, it's not the 7th inning stretch. He actually really hates the 7th inning stretch. Is actually when they honor the veteran, and he would often say when they were playing bad, how embarrassing that you guys are playing bad and this gentleman or gal has to get honored right now, and you guys are playing this horrible. You guys should be embarrassed of yourselves.
But
he loves it though. That was one of his favorite things.
I appreciate Ozzie going at the guys for us because like we legit like, you know, you would think like there's a lot of things out there for us that, you know, are like easily accessible, but I think the White Sox for being easily accessible. They called, awesome. they checked, they was like, you sure you're coming? Here's where you're going, so on and so forth. So I had a great time showing up at the game for, you know, being honored at the game as the hero of the game. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, we would have showed the video if StreamYard wasn't giving us problems earlier. So
yeah, it's all good. I mean, I wasn't expecting to see the video, but at the same time, it's just like you guys, like y'all don't understand how big it is for me to talk to you guys and to see you guys talk to Ozzie again. Like that was like, I mean, I'm 45 years old, so I watched him play at Old Comiskey. You know what I mean? I watched him and Robin and Frank man the infield. So it's like, you know, that was like to see you guys talk to him, and I know Ozzie, I know that's your dad, but it doesn't matter. Like that was just like to see him just talking, you know, candidly about baseball. It was just like amazing. So thank you guys.
And the dude you saw on the podcast with us is the same dude that's out there in the real world every single day. Yeah. That is that's who Ozzie is.
Yeah, I know that.
Awesome dude.
Like he keeps it a buck so much. Like I wish I could just see him and just do this one time.
We'll make it happen. We're gonna have the Blackout's probably gonna have a live. And again, this is part of what we wanted to do because again, we wanted to connect to real fans, bring out the, you know, we talk about all the time, make it like again, everyone here on the show, there's a connection, there's a friendship. And again, it's bridging that gap of like fans, like you can voice this segment was created to voice someone like yourself, tell your story, tell us like why you're passionate. Like I really feel like now I really feel like our offseason sucked. Like this man, like I literally feel like I need to cut this part and send it to Jared and say, hey, I'm sorry. I know we usually don't talk about baseball. We talk about everything but the team. But just this once, you need to hear this. Like you
look at you stressing this guy out.
No, I'm just saying you need to feel this pain. Like this, anybody that's like 15 years old, I know we're gonna have young listeners. I don't feel bad for you at all. I don't. I don't like this is the group. This is because you saw the pain. You saw everyone thinks everything at Comiskey Park was beautiful. It was a great atmosphere. There's not a lot of winning happening back then. So I feel your pain, man. I really do.
It was not a lot of winning, but my mother made it happen to where we can go to games just so she could appease me because I loved baseball.
Yeah,
I loved baseball. I loved Frank Thomas. You know what I mean? I loved fucking Ozzie Guillen. I loved Harold Baines. I loved fucking, you know, Robert Ventura. Like I love that fucking team. Carlton Fisk. That was just like my thing.
How good was Harold as a defensive outfielder?
Holy shit. Like he was so fucking good. Like he was like you couldn't hit it over his head and you could not run him. Like he would get that ball back to the infield so fucking fast. And I heard Ozzie talking about they don't play the game right. Well, when him and Harold played together, they played the game right. You know what I mean? Like you would see Harold get the ball and Ozzie was there for the cutoff, and then they would freaking, you know, it was amazing. So baseball was in its purity at Comiskey Park was fucking. It was just a wonderful time to watch actual baseball and to be sitting behind a guy with his fucking. He had the big fucking, you know what I mean, the big fucking score sheet, mark
For the game.
paper. You know what I mean? And you're trying to understand, like, what are you writing? He's like, yeah, the guy here, and he'll draw the fucking lines or whatever. There was an older gentleman, and God forgive me what his name is, but he's like, this is how you keep up with the game. This is what I learned at Comiskey Park while I'm eating a fucking hot dog. This is crazy. So those memories will never go away. And I just want us to, I really just want to just say, like, I want us to win like more games than normal. Like, I really just, this team right here has a chance to be special. I like Kopech. I like Cease, the pitching staff, a slim down Gio, that's going to be, let's see what he does. And then the lineup. I just want to see the lineup produce, hit the fucking ball, get out the park.
You have an open slate of critiquing anyone on the White Sox team or the front office. You have full reign of doing that, my friend.
Can't nobody tell you nothing.
No, nobody can tell you. We're still working on that for you, Jay. We're not sure about you yet. We're like 50-50 on you, but Ray the Barber, he can talk about the White Sox. He can play. You can say it. You can rip Moncada every day on Twitter if you want. Every time Moncada gets pops
you
up
can't.
or something,
No, you can't.
I'm gonna say. I'm gonna write and say, hey, Moncada boy, Ray the Barber, I'm thinking about you right now. Go off, my friend. I'm being serious.
For real.
This is the fans that Ozzie interacts with, that you feel that pain of the fans saying, what is going on with my team? I bought into this. Why can't we win? I totally agree. This is awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys. I really do.
Real quick, all the winners, or the 4 winners today, Z Witter, Dre, Juan, and Ray, please, at the ticker there at the bottom, email our show at ogblackout@gmail.com. Let us know that you were who you were on your account. Send us your info, and we will we will mail out our giveaways to you, signed Ozzie photos. Junior is going to go grab the photos real quick to show our proof of our giveaways. But we are going
I'll take pictures of Ozzie signing them too. It's like these
authenticity.
Guys. Yeah, of course. People, you know what? People think oh, did you sign that? I'm like, you think I'm like an Ozzie game, I know how to do my dad's signature? Like, I didn't know how to do that when I was in school. Then when I do it when I was an adult, I'm like, dude, sign here.
Oh, I used to forge so many notes when
I'm the worst.
Like in elementary school. Like, I got a stomach ache. He's not going to be in school today. Sign that sig.
I knew I wasn't going to be a major leaguer, but when I couldn't sign my name at 12, I'm like, you see all the kids that were like big league signatures. I was like, no, I couldn't do it. So yeah, I'll have Ozzie. I'll take pictures of it. We'll have it sent out. So send that info to our guy Gonzo and the team. We'll send that right to you guys.
Man, I appreciate. I can't say it enough. I can't thank you guys enough for having me on. Justin, I love you. You're my guy. Gonzo, you're my guy. I love you, man. It was great to meet you, Ozzie. It was great to meet you, Slav. Like, I can't wait for the interactions on Twitter.
My honor.
I'm pretty sure I followed, Ozzie. I'm pretty sure I followed you. I don't know if I followed you, Slav, but I'm going to follow you as soon as we get off here.
Thank you.
So. But Ozzie, you're on the Ozzie's baseball, right? That's you.
Yeah. Guillen's baseball. I got clandestine. I got about like 5 burner accounts. We're still trying to figure them out.
The only person with more burners than Rick Hahn is Ozzie Guillen Jr.
Yeah.
Oh, right. So I think I followed the Guillen's world.
Yeah, you're good. That's it right there. You'll get the insight there. I can't make.
And make sure you subscribe to the Guillen Grid here on YouTube.
Yeah,
it's already subscribe.
That's what it shows. Justin, somebody say I love you. That's deep. That was deep. That's probably one of the deepest moments in the thing. But this was, by the way, this is going to be hard. Anyone that's going to get picked for
we can't top this.
By the way, good luck topping this one. By the way,
we got to go find
this was awesome. This was really, really good. This was awesome.
We got to find 110-year-old like quadriplegics in Australia that's the only thing that we can talk.
This is awesome though. Like the fact you got to watch Ozzie play and do it. A lot of people can't make the whole connection, so that's really, really cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I did. I was just I was lucky. I was lucky to have a mother that worked her ass off to get tickets just to go to a game. Wow. And then I was lucky to just be able to have a TV to watch Ozzie manage us to a fucking World Series in Iraq.
Awesome. In Iraq.
Yeah. And awesome. I wasn't on mission. I just so happened to not be on mission that night, which was crazy.
Damn, that's awesome.
That's like one of the best stories of any Sox fan I've ever heard. No joke.
No joke.
I appreciate it. Yep. That's what it was. Yep. Well, thank you guys.
No,
Thank
thanks for
you.
stopping on, Ray.
The honor's ours, man.
This was absolute blast, man.
All right, y'all.
Thank
See you,
you.
Ray.
See ya.
Man, Josh, they say they love man. That clip right there, I love you, Justin, is like, hey, this man is
I'm gonna put it out for all the haters, and I'm gonna play.
That's
that
what I'm
shit on
saying, though. By the way, guys, no BS. That's probably one of the best World Series stories that I have heard. Definitely beats I was at college drunk. Like, okay, great. You're supposed to be there. Like, that was awesome. And the fact that he's watched the Sox for that long, which again, a poor guy, like that's a lot of L's in the 80s. That's a lot of
His
L's.
story reminded me about the Jermaine Dye jersey. I think I don't know if I told you guys this. Shingo Takatsu was the first White Sox jersey I ever bought with my own money. Like,
Really?
what an idiot. And I was in high school, an authentic,
like the real deal.
$200
Why
White
Shingo? Just because
he was my boy, dude. And
that was your guy.
Like, I loved it. Like the gong, and he was just unhittable. The frisbee, and Hawk was hyping his ass. And I'm like, dude, Shingo is going to be our guy. And like 4 months later, he went to shit, and Bobby Jenks became Bobby Jenks. And I'm glad that it worked out for Bobby and the White Sox, but like, damn, I think I ended up selling it for like $40, and somebody ripped off the Shingo and like put Makata or Canergo or some other name and number on it.
Because of the number. That's in.
Yeah.
But again, then you kind of that story is crazy because Ozzie knew that they're gonna need Ozzie and Kenny knew they were gonna need backups for the closer position because of Shingo.
Well, it turned out to be fucking Dustin Hermanson and
saved 30+ games.
Cliff Polite.
30+ games, Dustin Hermanson saved. So when people talk about like what Griff Fall's gonna do and closer by committee. I don't think it's that bad of an idea because you don't really have to buy into someone. Because if he goes and says, this is my closer, and then you don't play him one game, it's like, oh, you don't believe in this guy anymore. So if you keep it like open, so you could win with a couple closers. Someone doesn't really have the title, which I love it because I think the closer title should only belong to a guy that's earned it, like a Liam Hendricks. That's my closer. But if you don't have that name, then I would think that it should be whoever your best matchup is. So that's one of the positives that I think Sox fans think that I wouldn't agree with. I actually think it's better that way. You didn't just give a title to somebody because you give the title to the wrong guy. That guy pitches bad, blows a couple games, and you untitle him. That guy loses credibility. So just keep it open. Who cares? Liam's going to be back, so he's going to be
I love what Grifol had to say about like attacking pockets in the lineup. It means like he's not going to just be like, okay, time to get a righty in there because of this guy. I think they're really going to analyze who and when to pitch guys. And I certainly hope that they have backup plans ready. That was one of the things I hated about Tony is like, okay, it's time to put Jose Ruiz in the game. And Jose Ruiz sucks after three batters. There was no backup. Yeah. There was nobody else that was ready to go.
So Jose Ramirez won't get pitched.
What?
So Jose Ramirez won't get pitched with first base open?
Oh, gosh.
By the way, no one mentions that. No one mentions that, by the way. No one mentions that ever. Of all the mistakes, and they all mentioned the error stuff, I'm like, probably the biggest mistake last year was that I'm like, why are they pitching to these guys? It's like first base open and over. It's like the best hitter. It's like, Buxton, Correa, first base open. We're going to pitch them. So I agree. The pocket situation means that they're going to go by feel, by matchups. They're going to go and say, because sometimes you lose the game, you might be the sixth inning. It might be the most important inning that you have because of the way that the game might go. So that's where I think that his acumen as a manager, his baseball knowledge will definitely pay off. Where I trust him more than anybody else deciding that for him, like him making that decision in that moment, I trust him more than anybody else making it, meaning in the White Sox organization.
Kelly, Graveman, Raylo, even Crochet when he comes back. I think all four of those guys have.
And people are forgetting about Aaron Bummer too. What if Aaron Bummer returned to form? That's a fucking weapon.
I mean, 2 years ago, a lot of people were saying he might be the closer of the future.
Yeah, no, I agree. And again, I think that competition-wise, like nobody, like no one has to say you're this guy. Everybody's up. It means everybody's up in the bullpen in the fifth inning. Like I think that as much as there's people that like comfort, if you make the mentality of the bullpen, you have to be ready in the fifth inning. I don't know who I'm going to go to. I can go to anybody at any given time. If you prepare yourself that way from spring training, you're able to do it all year. The issue is when you try to throw a wrench in the middle of the season and say, okay, now we're going to – if he prepares these guys and say, hey, guys, from spring training, our plan is after the fifth inning, Danny Griffol's going to go whoever he feels like it, so you better be ready. You've been warned. Don't make any excuse. when I bring you in the fifth or the sixth.
Daddy Grifol?
That's his name, Daddy Grifol.
I'm not calling him that shit.
I know.
Why
I'm
not?
definitely using that one.
Daddy
And
Grifol.
he's not getting
Daddy
nothing for
Grifol.
Father's Day either. We're not
Right.
even bringing him up on Father's Day.
Daddy Grifol. He's gonna be by the way, when you had Daddy, what do you do when you're Dad? You love, but then you're also I'm gonna tell you guys, man.
You love and you discipline.
No, that's what I'm saying though. These guys, I'm gonna tell you guys this right now. I think some guys might be in for a rude awakening. Like
good.
That's what I mean. No,
Yeah.
but I think as nice as he is, when those guys are super nice like that and like, oh, we're all gung ho, I don't want to see him getting pissed. I'm being serious. Like this guy's like, look up his resume of who he is as a person. This guy is built on like doing like eating like Hulk Hogan, eating your Wheaties, like the real deal. Like this guy's like an accountability master. I'm being serious. He said accountability. He ain't playing around. Like he's literally going to like. I asked Salvador Perez if it was BS on one thing that Grifol brought up about like he didn't talk to him for a week, and I was like, it's probably BS. You know, that story that was going around that we asked Salvador. He said, "Oh, dude, that guy was like he didn't talk to me." It's like a Joy Cora. Like it's funny because you're like, what coach would not talk to a player? But then if you're in baseball, you're like, this guy's a real deal. Like, no, dude, I'm not gonna work with you. Like we said, we were gonna do this, and you kind of like messed around, and you're not gonna do it like early work or whatever. Like you're not serious. I'm not gonna be serious. I'm not gonna be here wasting my time. Coaches that are able to pull that off show you that their accountability level, that they're there to work and win. They're not there to be like your little babysitter or whatnot. That's a huge thing to do, especially when someone's your friend, like he's friends with Salvador. That was a huge tell. And I could see it, might not come out in public, but I could see him challenging players and saying, hey, bring him into the office and saying what's going on and throwing them under the bus. I think that this team might need that. And I don't think this guy's scared to do that at all. And he's not, I don't think he's a pushover. That's for sure.
Well, we just went 3 hours and 15 minutes, and I'm pretty sure we mentioned every single player on the White Sox roster in some capacity. I think like Lance Lynn was like the one guy we didn't talk about that much. But I've loved everything he's had to say so far in spring training. Like he's the leader of the pitching staff. Gonzo, I think you mentioned earlier. Like I wish we had 26 Lance Lyns. No joke.
I love that he threw the fans under the bus, by the way. I love that Lance Lynn did not take the bait when he was talking about Cleveland, and he said, well, Cleveland didn't find out about, we told them that. The fans chanted it, and they're okay to do that because they're the losers. I love that because that's telling everybody in that clubhouse, we might be more talented, but they beat us. So that's a chip on his shoulder. So kudos to him, because he could have made a very comment about unsportsmanlike or, they should know better. Maybe he is mad about it. He didn't let them know it, and they're going to figure it on the field. That I like that chip on his shoulder, which again, I think he just sent a message to his clubhouse. Very, very subtle message. And to the fan base as well, by the way, of like, we hear you. We know what you guys have been saying. So I like it.
Good for him.
Good for him. I don't think Lance Lynn is a guy I don't think a BS is one of Lance Lynn's like in his vocabulary of like something. I don't think he messes around with that. He's a very straight shooter. You like it or you don't. You like it or you don't like it. I don't think he really cares about that.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna say I hung around people like Lance Lynn because I don't know what the guy's like, but just from what I see on TV, like he got a sense of humor, but he's all about business. No, if it's fuck me in public, it's fuck you in public too. Like I'm not gonna jump through hoops just to have a good PR day. No, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, he's a good pro, like a good pro.
The guy's accountable too. When he has a bad start, he just says it straight out.
I love that. By the way,
game.
I love that by him. I love about it. Again, he's a veteran. Like he's been around.
He's a ribeye and mashed potatoes guy.
Yeah, but he's
not a fillet and asparagus guy.
Well, I'm just saying. Look, I think people love him because he also looks like a lot of people in the South Side. Looks like Slav's like younger, skinny stuff. It's like Lance Lynn when he was 20.
The grades are coming. Work is stressing me out. I'm
love
close.
When you get asked, and again, when you're obsessed with pitching, they're like, "How did you feel?" And a pitcher's like, "Well, my slider wasn't feeling too well." Giolito, I'll say it. Giolito, giving you like we saw the game, Giolito. We know that it wasn't working. Lance Lynn cuts right through that. Like, we didn't do good. I sucked, and then you're like, okay, cool. Like, at least you know that he is there and he's holding himself accountable, and he's not trying to give you a perfect answer. And again, when you have more guys like that he doesn't care about being clean and polished and that attitude of going and getting, because you're gonna fail. Okay, so he's a guy that's like, when he's doing great, it's great. When he's doing bad, it's like, okay, we're gonna keep going. I think that helps a lot on a team just as much as like, being a clubhouse leader and, holding everybody and saying, oh, we like each other, because you need to get pushed, man. It's a long season. It's 162 games. You're going to lose 40. You're going to win 60. How are you going to grind out through the rest of them?
Okay, Hawk.
No, I'm
Okay,
being
Hawk.
serious. Yeah, it's true. And I'm sure that I would love to see Lance Lynn in a meeting when these guys are struggling and they're all like gung-ho on analytics. Like there's a circle of like Giolito and C's, and then there's Gonzo like watching them like, and they're seeing rotation and like cut and like vertical. And Lance Lynn's like, what are you guys doing? Like because I can see him being that guy of like, get out of your own head. Because pitchers can get weird, man. My slot's here. I'm not pitching because my rotation's off. It's like, dude, just get the outs. Like you don't have it today.
Remember that it was early in the season in 21 where he was like pitching a gem against the Indians and he gave up the game winner to Jose Ramirez.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it was like 8th inning, like literally like lights out. And he made one terrible pitch. And after the game, everyone's like, oh, they're expecting some, well thought out answer. Oh, I wanted to get out ahead of him and throw the 2-seam and this and that, blah, blah. Like what happened? Take us through that at bat to Ramirez with the game winner. They threw a shitty pitch and he hit it over the fence. Like that's it. He knows what he did. He doesn't have to explain it. He doesn't have to go back and watch the video and okay, well, what were my RPMs on that one? And did I have the right extension?
Spin rate?
Yeah, like did I have the right extension? No, I threw a shitty 2-seamer in a bad location to a top 5 hitter in baseball, and he made me pay. I freaking love Lance Lynn.
Or should I have been? I didn't feel like I should have been in there. I feel like I was extended.
Wow, that's another straight Giolito.
You know what though? I'm not a. When you are,
he's the anti-Keuchel. Keuchel would be like, oh yeah, they pulled me after 4. I felt like I've earned
that's what
a
I'm
couple
saying,
more
though,
innings. Your ERA is 8.3. You haven't earned shit.
You never feel like there's no pitcher out there. I don't think that maybe a couple in my hand that I could be like that are happy when they're taken out. Like, oh great, take me out. Like I never want to be here. As a baseball, like you trust your manager to take you and like give you a chance to succeed and not leave you out to dry. Sometimes they're taking you out because you're your own worst enemy. You don't know when to leave the game, or they might have left you because they think that you're old enough and mature enough to like get them out of there because they think you're the best guy for that spot. When you start having guys question what happened in a managerial situation, that you cannot let happen. Like Ozzie would be like very clear, like you want me to rip you, say something coming off the mouth. Like if I messed up, but I'm making this move. It's not on you. Like, of course, I think you could probably get extended or go lower. That's where Lance Lynn kind of changes the attitude on that because you have a lot of young pitchers. And I love Giolito when Cease. His maturity level at that point has been great. Great body language when he's struggling. He doesn't feel Giolito on that end is a little bit different than other guys. I don't think Kopech even cares but I think that is a pitcher's development. Because it's a mental game. And I think that when you're struggling, you could really take a page out of Lance Lynn's book because he's definitely he battles. He's definitely a guy that battles and shows it with himself. And I don't think if they lose, it's going to be because Lance Lynn didn't try hard.
You know who reminds me of Lance Lynn? We had him on the Red Sox. John Lackey.
Yes.
They had the same attitude. Like, you're not taking me out this fucking game.
Wait, so you're a White Sox fan? So I can't. So my team. What happened? Because you said us and like you were like
you've said we like 400 times.
I have a question.
I understand. I'm okay. I am a Red Sox fan and I live in the south side of Chicago. I'm not rooting for the Cubs, so I'll just be a diehard White Sox fan.
Oh,
wait, so you're a Red Sox fan first?
No, I'm just saying that I'm answering why I say we in regards to the Red Sox.
He likes Boston.
Yeah, I like Boston.
You just wanted to get on the championship wagon. You just basically said Red Sox first.
I like when they were trash.
You're probably an anti-Yankee, so you're like, I'm going to root for the Red
I am
Sox.
Anti-Yankee. I'm anti a lot of Yankee, to be honest with you.
Why? Because they just have a lot of trophies?
Yeah.
You just hate winners?
Because we wish we won as much as they did.
I wish Derek Jeter played in Chicago.
Yeah, it's like,
oh, don't get me started on that one.
No, but for real. So like, okay, cool. Like I again, Lackey's a guy that was known for just being a straight shooter. John Lester's the same thing. Those guys, I love Rendon, the connection that he had with C's. Those are guys that have struggled. They know how it happens, and those are good clubhouse guys. Just because you're an old dude does not make you a good clubhouse guy. There's nothing worse than an old clubhouse lawyer, an old player that thinks he knows best, but he's actually a toxic. That is the opposite of what you want. and the guys that we've mentioned, I think that, and again, Lanson's still competing, guys. Look at his numbers last year. He's still at a level
Hey,
where that
last
contract.
He
14
had a
starts,
decent second
2.52
half last
ERA.
year.
That's what I'm saying, though. But his
money.
contract, the value of his contract, and again, we often rip Rick Hahn for signing this contract. Actually, has paid his way. Like, I think the contract was pretty good for what other guys have been getting. I really think that Lance Lynn has delivered on what he was paid for.
As far as like internal contracts and extensions, I think Rick Hahn, I mean, that's his bread and butter. Like, that's where he's elevated himself to where he is with the White Sox. Like, they don't get as much for Jose Quintana if it wasn't for Rick Hahn signing that contract. Like you mentioned TA, or I think someone in the comments mentioned TA, like seeing all the money in the shortstops. Bisexual. He's like, TA sees that money that the shortstops are getting in free agency, and like, you know, those are valuable assets that the White Sox have because of Rick Hahn.
No, I agree. You sign a guy low, and again, this is when we.
By the way, did you see Emmanuel Clase's contract?
Yeah, it's
I don't even.
I don't even know. I don't know how the players' union let that happen.
Yeah,
I mean,
they do slavery in Cleveland.
Oh man,
I don't know. I don't want to use that word, but like, I don't know. They put him to. I'm reading the book that I told you guys, and it's like Lou Howe flew George Springer out when he was a minor leaguer, and he tried signing him before he ever played a game of the big leagues to like an extension of a contract, and it was like something like $25 million, and obviously his camp was not happy that he had flown him here to Houston under false pretenses, but he got to try to sign him for like only 25 mil before he ever played a game in the big leagues. So we know that makes sense because you're taking advantage, but then that's got to come back and hurt you at some point, especially. But if they do move him, when players are signed, they're easier to move because if your contract is good, teams are all over it. Just like if your contract is bad, you have to eat the money. But again, when you're trying to win and you're trying to build the best roster, you can't let money become a factor. If you're not signing guys, then you cannot let you releasing guys and opening up spots for somebody else to become a hinder in your development and in the play. So like, if you think this year that Sheets is going to, by having Sheets this year in the roster or Billy brings you more value than having Larry from day one, you either trade Larry and eat the money, or you release him and eat the money, send him down. Like, you got to figure out a way of how to do this in order so you don't cost yourself some wins.
And we're gonna get to that in 3 weeks when we see 2 weeks of spring training. We had 2 shows in March, and we're gonna wrap up everything that we see in spring training and what the final 26 is going to look like. And we're going to give our arguments for that.
Billy Hamilton, the Greyhound.
I'll tell you this much. If Ozzie Guillen was the manager, Billy Hamilton would definitely be on that top of that list, because he'd be like, I need a fast guy. I need a guy for pinch. Again, when you're up, here's a part, and I'm going to wrap it on my end. When you are with the White Sox, the only reason that we always try to look at these position players to do so much is because there's been so many injuries. Like, think about if you thought that Pablo Osuna would play that much, or Timo Perez. Like, your backup players, like Ramon Castro, they should be playing like once a week, once every couple weeks, get the guys some rest. They shouldn't be getting 350 at bats. So there's roles where the only reason Billy should be getting 500 at bats is if someone's injured. Might be the same for someone like Sheets or Romy. Like, there needs to be a separation of like, am I a role player or am I an everyday player? And if like that role player has to play because Moncada has back spasms or TA has this, and they're not really hurt this year, one of the key things for the White Sox is he hurt or is he injured? Like, are you hurt, Slav, or are you injured? If you're hurt, you might still have to play through some pain. If you're injured, go on the DL and we'll bring somebody else up. I think I think last year with Pantera, like, is he hurt? Is he not hurt? They play him. Then you see him like have like one good at bat and they sit him, and like you didn't know where they were at health wise. I hope that they figure that out this year with that Grifol gets a grip on that of like, okay, is this guy injured? How much can I push him? Because I think that's something that last year that definitely hurt them, because at times we're like, what's the deal? Like, why can this guy play or why not? So that's all I got from there.
Before we wrap up, I just want to let our viewers know that I came in today thinking that Jose Abreu was better than Andrew Vaughn. I'm leaving today with the fact that these people compared Andrew Vaughn to Michael Young and John Olerud. So thank you, Slav. Thank you,
Potential.
Jose. I will not get any fucking sleep tonight.
By the way, potential. It's just potential, Papi. It's just
I just
potential.
ask, if he had that career, would everybody be happy?
By the way, there's a
I would be
report. By
happy.
the way,
and I think there's a lot of White Sox fans that'd be pissed off if he only
because of
Young.
the home runs. That's why they would be crazy. If there's a scouting report out there, okay, from a scout that saw Slav at his size. I'm sure he's probably a really big kid in high school.
No, this hurts my heart because I know where you're getting at, and this is a
No. I'm talking about not talking about junior or senior year. I'm talking about like how tall were you in freshman year?
6'5", 6'4", 6'4" and a half with cleats.
Okay,
6'5".
so that's what I mean. So this guy's out there like in a freshman game and sees some 6'5" dude with a glove in his hand. He was like Randy Johnson, right-handed. Like just as a scout, you're like, this kid is this big at freshman.
Projectability.
Projectability, you're like, if you make a mistake with someone like him signing him, you're like, dude, like look at what I signed. So like potential's always going to be there. So Andrew Vaughn, you got that, but I gave Jorge Soler. I said he was going to be the next. He had potential to be an MVP, just like Rafal just said. Pantera had potential to be MVP because when you see him and you see his makeup, and you're like, dude, this guy runs, throws, has power, has for contact, is a gazelle in the outfield. Like he should be, this much better, and he should be at that level. So potential, when you're talking sports, is humongous. The thing is, can you execute? And like when you start going up in levels, that's the difference between college, minor league, single A, double A, triple A, big leagues, then big leagues, play every day, be a role player. The levels that go up, it just starts getting harder and harder and harder. And then at one point, your potential becomes, oh, that guy was a wash, or wow, that guy lived up to his potential. Because baseball-wise, not a lot of guys live up to their potential. They have great careers. Gordon Beckham, for example, I think he had a great career, better than many. But his potential was, people thought that he was going to be like a 10-time All-Star and play shortstop for 14 years for the Chicago White Sox. So that's where we have to, between potential and career, where is he leading? So yeah, if Andrew Vaughn has if Andrew Vaughn has a Michael Young type of career,
slam
with
dunk.
his his years of playing, and he does it all with the White Sox, he would surpass Abreu in like success of. I'm being serious. I'm saying like in the years played, Andrew Vaughn, if let's say Andrew Vaughn plays here in the White Sox for the next 15 years at Michael Young production, that puts him in the top 10 of everything in White Sox history.
I mean, yeah, that's sad that is the case, but it's.
But I'm just being honest though. So like
It's
that
like
means
the
it's not a
Bears
bad
quarterback situation.
Well, I'm not saying it's a bad career though. Like let's say this. Let's say they sign Tim Anderson, okay, for an extension, and TA plays 14 years at White Sox at shortstop at the production that he's had on average every year. Is that a failure?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. That's an everyday big league player who got drafted by the Sox.
Not a failure, no matter what
Correct.
happens.
Here's the thing. He was drafted by the White Sox, okay, and they drafted an everyday big league player for multiple big league years. That is a success.
Who won a batting title?
Who won a batting title and has a potential to win it every single year that he goes onto the field within the next 6-7 years of his career, depending on how long he plays. That is success. That is what they have to be looking at the draft and not looking at like, did a guy have a really good year? It's like, what pipeline am I building? Like, am I building a pipeline consistently of success of guys that can come in and play every day? That's what the White Sox need. And that's where if you cannot find a second baseman within the organization, okay, you found a right field. Let's hope he's a guy. You should be able to fill in those holes, okay, to be able to do that. You should be able to do a Brian Anderson where we didn't win the World Series and we missed the playoffs because of the way the format of the tournament was set up, the league, but they won 90-plus games with Brian in center field. Like they plugged them in. It wasn't like oh my God, we don't have anybody. That's what you need to do as an organization because when you're ready to win, you're going to need those bodies.
Yeah. Look, there's no shortage of storylines or drama with this freaking franchise, so we'll have plenty of talk about.
And Ochivo has not. And Ochivo hasn't even shown up.
Yeah, that's we waited 3 hours and 33 minutes to mention
No,
Ochivo.
I was hoping that the White Sox weren't listening to that point. That's what triggers them.
Yeah, hopefully the Sox have signed off at this point. Shout out to everybody that stayed with us for the whole show. Everybody in the comments, make sure if you were one of the winners of our giveaway, email us at ogblackout@gmail.com. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube to the Guillen Grid, and make sure to follow us on Twitter. My brain is fried after this 3.5 hour marathon. At Blackout Show Shy CHI. Thanks to Ray. Thanks to Ozzie for joining us on the show. Gonzo, Jay, Junior, Slav signing off. We'll see you March 14th for the next episode of the Blackout Show.
Gracias.
Yeah.